Welcome to Spurswasion TV. Good evening to
evening.
all of you. Good evening to Jamie. Good to see you. And of course, good evening to all of you guys in Asia, gals in Asia. And of course, good afternoon to all of you in Europe. And of course, good morning to all of you guys in Americas, right? So before we go any further, anything you want to say, Jamie? Today, more or less, we'll be talking about the finances because it's an international break. Nothing much to talk about. Maybe some gossip here and there, and of course, there's the takeover and all that. Money.
Well,
Right?
will we have enough finances to compete with Yemen?
Yeah. Oh, we'll go into that later. Before that, let me bring on some friends that's been with us. Hold on for a while. All right, guys. How are you guys doing?
Evening, morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. Just let me say a big shout out to Sam. Sam is always here. Thanks for your support, Sam. Big up. Right. Okay. Before we go any further, like I said, we have a special message from a friend of mine, very special friend of mine, Mr. Brian Diggle from Tottenham on Tour.
The mission starts today. As you can see behind me is my beautiful parents' house, and now I'm just making my way to the bus stop for getting there for the NFL protests. So hopefully it will be a bigger turnout today. Here's hoping. But the main aim obviously is to get media attention like we did last time. People keep saying that we didn't achieve our objectives last time. Well, we did. The numbers weren't the best, and it was very, very short notice straight after the Arsenal game, whereas this has been planned a lot. So I'm really hoping it's not a letdown, and people that said they were going to come in the chats, on Twitter, in everything, they do turn up, because that's all it's about. But we're on the road to the protest, and like I was saying, the main objectives were to get media attention and to get an ENIC out flag into the stadium. Well, we got into the Daily Mail here in the UK, which is a big national newspaper. We made it into a few other articles, and also One Football picked it up and a few others picked it up. There's a lot of people that ENIC in that picked up the few people that were at the, or not few, but 30, 40 odd that were at the protest, and said we didn't achieve much, but we achieved what we wanted. So today's the ones. Today are the big ones. Today means something. They're starting at 10:30. I'm going to be there a little bit late, and also I'm meeting a very, very good friend of mine who I haven't seen for a long time. He's one of my best mates, but his parents live in Tottenham, so I'm meeting him at his for a Turkish breakfast. Good old Attila, can't wait to meet your brother. And then, yeah, we will be on our way to the NFL protest and hopefully make some kind of impact on a bigger media to see what we can do to reach our main objective, which is ENIC, and most importantly, Levy out of this club. Enough is enough. We want our Tottenham back. Everyone check change for Spurs. Hopefully through Tottenham on Tour we will be sending you bits and pieces that I can. And yes, we will speak to you later on, but most importantly, Levy out.
Yep, and that's the message from Brian. Hi, Prithvi. Prithvi is from Bangalore Spurs. Yeah, Bangalore Spurs. Have you met most of the guys here? Yeah, Res and Jamie, and there's another Jamie in the panel now. There's two Jamies, just for you.
One with and one without a cap. One without a beard.
We'll say one with hair, one without.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a good one.
Whatever.
Okay, guys. And of course, just shout out to the people watching now. Guguma, big up Guguma. Thanks for your support. Guguma is always supporting. right? And
Yeah.
of course, Wayne Bonner. Big up, Wayne.
Hey,
Right?
Wayne.
Wayne is around. And okay, let's get to some of the subjects that let's get some gossip, or what you call it. There's been rumors going around, what's called Son is dating the Blackpink lead singer, something like that. All right, so something to laugh about. Okay, and
His
of course
dad is giving permission.
yeah, his dad is given permission. Yeah.
He's had
big
the
up
scary
to
blonde
Son.
already.
Yeah, big up to Son. And of course, how would you say? At the moment, did you guys watch the boxing match this morning?
Yeah.
I've seen
I'm
seen
tired.
clips. It was
Yeah.
at the time zone. I was asleep, but
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
the
it was
result
actually
was
it was
the right one.
no the actually it was about lunchtime for us, Jamie, when it started, the actual main event. And I
Okay.
think by second round, when Tyson landed that punch and Wilder went down, he was already out of it. He was already dazed and all that. So
Okay, well,
I don't know.
in which case, I might have been
Yeah.
either finishing off stuff
You
here or
church,
at
yeah, you going
Robinson's.
church. Yeah, no church. Okay, maybe church.
No, yeah, but Robinson's afterwards. Robinson's Mall afterwards.
Yeah, but Wilder knocked Tyson down 2 times in a round, but in the end, I think Tyson was
Wilder
too
looked shattered. He just looked like
Yeah,
he wanted to cry. Like I would if I was getting
you-
punched by Fury.
no,
But
yeah.
no, it was good. It was
He-
good. I stayed up.
Yeah, it was
like,
good.
most
It
of
was
the
good.
night. I'm
Yeah.
tired.
But he looked like Ndombele. Oh dear, pity him. But I think but in the end you could see his ear was bleeding, and I think he cut his lip or something like that. So big up to Tyson, good win for him. So let's wait for the next one, whether Anthony Joshua beats Usyk. All right.
Yeah,
And then
that's
we might have another
doubtful.
match there. Yeah.
I think he's got a fight. I think Fury's got a fight with Dillian White. I think.
Why he's going to get battered?
Yeah, I think he's sort of gained the right to get battered, basically. Yeah.
Oh,
And hopefully he's brought the chips and mushy peas.
Yeah, I was waiting. I knew. I teed Jamie up there. Yeah, Jamie's been teed up for that one.
yeah. All right, guys. Let's go to the next one. The takeover of Newcastle United. Right.
Oh boy.
320 billion rich of it, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, because the Saudis are at least worth a few trillion to me, right? And I think Newcastle Stadium will be renamed Aramco Stadium sooner or later, if I'm not mistaken, right?
What didn't the Premier League other teams get together to have some kind of meeting about it?
That was
Daniel Levy, yeah, because he's
yeah,
upset about it because now he's going to get stick.
Spearheaded by Daniel Levy and his
Oh.
American super fans.
Jealous of Newcastle.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got
I don't know.
pray for
honestly,
Amazon.
To tell the truth, it's another billionaire coming in and all that. I've always been saying, right? Even if whatever happens, I wouldn't want Spurs to be taken over by a billionaire, because every billionaire has got their skeletons in their closet. None of them are, squeaky clean and all that. So a lot of them have done a lot of things. And to tell the truth, whatever happened in Saudi Arabia, come on, been taken over by a nation. So what do you expect, right? So of course we are sitting down here calculating how long before they actually become a threat to us, right? And there's already rumors going around where Kane might be going there in January, and Son too. The rumors are flying all over the place. That's why I think Levy is panicking, because first person that was picked out to be bought by them is Kane, right? So
Can have him.
he must.
Well,
you can.
to be fair, Daniel Levy, the one saving grace he had was that the other guy. I'm getting old now. My short-term memory, Ashley, was disliked more than he was.
Oh, yes, true.
Yeah, and that's the thing that Tottenham had as well.
Yeah.
As Tottenham supporters, we could always say, well, at least we could be Newcastle. And now that's been taken away from us, and it's actually been taken away from him as well. So,
But I'd have to give Newcastle fans credit because they know how to protest.
yeah.
So
I think
I'm jealous.
no, Jay. Let me see. Jamie with
Just say Jamie.
With the
Just call
cat.
me Jay.
And
Just call me
whoever
Jay. It's easier.
whoever the last Jamie talking should know that it's them that's being spoken to.
All right, okay. Jamie, the last Jamie's been speaking. I'm speaking to. I'm saying
Thinking
Or
too
one
much.
of
That's
you-
normally
one
what
of
I
you-
do.
I've lost my train of thought.
one of you change your handle.
Wasn't aware that
to
Malaysia had a
James.
train service.
One of you change your handle to James.
Yeah, James.
Um,
Yeah.
Oh, I hate being called.
Nah.
Just call me Jay. Just Jay's easier. Jay.
What,
Okay,
nice-
Jay. Okay.
Okay, you can call him Triple T and call me Manila.
Okay.
Triple T, yeah. Sounds like a rap band.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
remember I did this one before. I call you Jamie Manila, and one will be Jamie London.
London calling, yeah.
Or call him
If you change your name to James, does that mean we all have to sit down?
Oh,
Okay, that's stretching. That's going back to the 90s.
Brad, that comment,
I know.
born of frustration. That was.
Ah,
I mean, it's a
sorry,
different
guys.
group. I think you're mad as a cow.
Guys, sorry, I didn't get it.
It's all the hippie trippy music that came out in and around Oasis.
yeah.
Okay. No, I was saying.
These are good. These are good. Ebenezer good.
Okay, it came back, right? All right. You were saying that the fans, hate Ashley more than, and I know the levels of hate between Ashley and his fans and Levy and his fans, right? So, but at least one thing I wanted to say is that Ashley was always honest and truthful, right? He didn't do all the smoke and mirrors and all the BS and all that, right? And he told the fans directly, A is A, B is B. So don't expect much.
Directly.
Yeah, Sports Direct too. Yeah, I know.
Sports Directly.
Yeah. That's why I was always. There's always been saying who's the better owner, right? I said I'll pick Ashley because Ashley don't bullshit us with we're gonna buy Martinez, we're gonna buy Dusan, we're gonna get Conte in and all that. He doesn't do that. He just tell I'm not spending money, right? Yeah. You can cry all you want, right? But I understand the Newcastle takeover has actually shaken a lot of people, and especially all the bosses of the Premier League. And I think it's just not that Levy's not happy. I think a lot of them are not happy due to the fact that they had to pay $1 billion compensation to be in sports, right? And I guess from there, there'll be some money funneling back to the Premier League, and maybe the clubs will get some of that cut, right? But the human rights issue and all that, to tell the truth, when it comes to the business side of it, right, money overrules everything, right? And like one day you were saying, one of the shows that you were on, Rest, on Johnny's show, when Brian was talking about this, you're just saying it's the world. The world is like that. You can't change it, right?
Can
So
I just do a shameless little plug here, by the way? Just a shout out.
Go ahead.
Just a shout out to Shelfside Spur and LJ and Gaza and Jens and Kev and Nick, who appear a lot on that show. If you've not seen Shelfside Spurs, just YouTube it. I enjoy going on there. LJ's a great host, and the lads are really cool. So, hi guys. Hope you're doing well.
LJ, why he calls himself Johnny Einstein, and that's how I know him. And you guys, I mean, I'm sure you guys know him more personally and all that.
Seen Johnny
LJ, Johnny Einstein. See, to tell the truth, right? He might be hopping on later after his football game. He might be hopping on later. But Jens won't be. I think Jens is busy today, right? Family and all that. Yeah. You and your stop. Prithvi, when
Can
the
I just come in on the Newcastle thing?
Yep, go ahead.
What I think the powers that be in football really want more than anything else is a American sports type setup where it's the same teams playing each other every year, a franchise situation. And the telling phrase, the telling words that really sort of shone out when the whole European Super League thing was dragging its carcass across the newspapers was legacy fans. because
Not in
the
my name.
the traditional football fan, they describe as legacy fans, as in what's left, what remains. What they want is plastics. They want fans that hop from club to club or team to team, you know, that don't
Bandwagons.
really, that don't really care about, you know, the history of where these teams come from.
Should go to the
You
Emirates
know?
then.
Essentially, yeah. But you know what? I mean, we you know have a history with Arsenal, and that history means something to us. But if you had what I think these owners want, you'll have fans that one season support Spurs and the next season support Arsenal, depending on the marquee player, the franchise player that the club purchases during the summer. This is the problem with football, and this Newcastle takeover will accelerate that process. So they might pay lip service to things like human rights and so forth, and Levy might protest because it makes his plans, whatever they happen to be, maybe a little more difficult, but it won't be because of any ideas or any sort of attachment to the idea of free competition and what sport should be about, which is about competition and reward and jeopardy. I think they want to make it a closed shop, so I don't see much. I see the death of football with this latest acquisition.
It's like it's slowly dying. Football started to die. I mean, there's always been money in football. You know, we all accept that.
Well, we were the original checkbook club in the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always been the money.
As soon as Chelsea got taken over by Abramovich, then football started to die, because you had a situation where you had people basically buying clubs just as their plaything, and to disguise other things. You know, the Saudi takeover at Man City. You know, again,
Can I interject one more time? Sorry, can I interject one more time? You're absolutely right, Brad. It was Abramovich is the sort of catalyst, but he wasn't the originator. The originator was actually Jack Walker at Blackburn.
Oh, okay,
He's the one who started the whole thing. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it was sort of like slowly building with Jack Walker, and no one would think, and then Abramovich comes on, and it just turned into this enormous.
But I think with Jack Walker, he was actually a Blackburn fan, wasn't he? He
fan.
was
Absolutely.
And then you have people like the Sheikh Mansour. Again, the human rights thing rears its ugly head. Trying to disguise that and to get sort of some.
Sorry, Chris, we wasn't talking about you.
That's good.
Hold on, guys.
Rears its ugly head.
Just a big up to.
I was hoping to keep all that quiet. So that's good.
Just a big up to Cody Mack, right? Cody, if you want to hop on, I think the link is actually, you can find it in the Coy's Rant.
Well, today we've got our own. We've got our own Cody, and we've got our own Daigle. Chris is our Daigle, and Jamie's our Cody. So
but we have the situation where, am I right in believing that the head of this conglomerate actually sanctioned the murder of a journalist in America?
Yeah, it's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman
in Turkey, not in America.
Wherever it was,
in Turkey.
So this is the moral. This is the big moral question we had, because
but did you see the article in BBC? The article in BBC was saying, right, the British government will never intervene because, number one, this is football.
Money for them, now, isn't it?
And they don't want to turn it political. And don't forget, UK sell a lot of arms to Saudi Arabia, so they don't want to jeopardize that too. So they must keep a diplomatic kind of stance on this. So that's why I think if the government did step in and say that no, you can't join the Premier League because of your history of this, right? Not to say that you have a lot of money, but the human rights issue and all that. Then maybe the Premier League would have done something. But I can tell you one thing: the British government will never intervene. No government will intervene when so much money is being poured into that economy in that area.
Like Facebook.
Just like Facebook, right? And okay, just hold on. As I was saying, I was going to ask Prithvi. Prithvi, the Newcastle takeover, right? Did it have any effect in India? Any of the fans in India go crazy and all that?
I mean, as far as I know, I'm also in the group of Bangalore Spurs, right? Like most of them went ballistic. No, we ain't gonna get the players we want. All that, that sort of, ranting. But
has some come back to
and
ground, so is he still in the air?
no, I mean, I think it's gonna definitely take some more time for it to die down. But it's not like a completed thing yet, right? Like they've taken
it's
over, but
completed.
the manager and
It's
all is.
completed. It's
Oh,
completed.
okay. I mean, has the manager also been changed for that matter?
Not yet.
No. Those things have not been.
Not yet.
No,
That'll be
those haven't.
probably.
The takeover of the club has been sanctioned and it's done, right? Yeah, of course we have Adam. Adam, if you want to hop on, let me know. I'll throw the link for you to hop on, right? Into the chats if you want to. Okay. Cody, nah, Jamie is too good. Yeah, looking for to be Cody. Cody, hop on. You know where the link is if you want to, right?
You can have a beard fight.
Oh, beard fight. Yeah. Yes, go ahead, Prithvi. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna take some time to die down, and like Rez did mention, the whole situation where football is now all about money, and it's slowly dying down. Yeah, it's true that it started with Blackburn and post that Abramovich coming to Chelsea and stuff like that. But I still think that when you've got so these certain regulations that they've managed at the Premier League, I mean, using that they could somehow prevent that whole so-called dying of the sport. But if there are other things like all this Super League and all coming into the picture, I mean, that would just that would just define the end of football as is.
That's
I
coming,
was
though, isn't
going to
it?
say, football
true,
now is like a monopoly anyway, so
Mhm.
it's slowly dying.
The Super League will be coming. The Super League's coming.
I already predicted the Super League to start in 2024 because that's when the ECA tenure ends with most of the European European Clubs Owners Association, right? Which is now Levy is also part of the board. So I guess this is part of how they're breaking it in. You get one guy in, that guy goes in, he negotiates. Then in the end of the day, to tell the truth, all this have actually started because number one, it started with the Premier League first. Yeah. Don't forget with the old first division that we had, that more or less that kind of a structure. When they changed the Premier League, right, they turned it into a pyramid. So everything went upwards, right? And just let me do a shout out to Ankit. Ankit, big up to you. Ankit is a Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
Just to interject here, the English League, the English League was always that pyramidal structure. Mm-hmm. What has actually happened is that basically, if you think of the cone, that top section has been sliced and just separated. So all below the Championship, League One, League Two, and all the sort of conferences below that are still part of the English League. It's just that the Premier League is now separated from that. They just work within the same pyramid in terms of relegation and promotion. It's just they are a separate organization under their own management, whereas the English League is still managed by the Football Association. Okay, that means all the money goes to them. Within the Premier League, yeah, apart from parachute payments when clubs
they go down.
The Norwich model.
Yeah. I mean, this is what the thing. Again, that's the key difference between what we have and what is happening in the United States. The United States is completely a non-pyramidal structure. It is completely linear, or completely sort of horizontal. It's not done according to merit. It's done according to essentially sports politics in the United States. Franchises are built, franchises move, and it's done by almost like committee, I think. It's sort of like, we want the league system, whatever it is there, to consist of these teams. Whereas with the pyramid structure, it is on merit. You know, if you do well, you are rewarded. If you do badly, you suffer. You know, and it's about that. That's the spirit of competition. There's a spirit of sport. Sport is about competition.
Yeah.
Not just on the field, but more widely.
Because they also have the draft, don't they? Which gives the teams that finish lower the best pick of the better players.
First picks,
which they also do in Australian rules football as well. In
the NBA.
And the NBA.
No, it's that's basically an American concept of it, right? In the football concept now, is you've got the most money, you buy the best players, right? That's why you're getting all these super rich people coming in to buy over teams and all that. And to tell the truth, I don't understand why the Saudis wanted to buy Newcastle. They don't need their money.
It's only 300 million.
Sports washing.
No, what? Yeah, no. That's why they're trying to do a sports washing, like what Rez is saying. You see, try to clean their name through sports, right? But the problem is that how are you going to clean all the things that they've done, and it's still there.
They want to make Newcastle the best team in London, apparently. So,
what's that woman that who's with them?
Stavely.
She was saying in the interview that she goes, Newcastle's like the best club in the world. I was like, has she been watching the football?
No.
She's just an arsehole as well. You've gone past 10 minutes. She's just an arsehole as well. She's saying all the right things at the moment. She doesn't give a crap about Newcastle. She gives a crap about the money. And then, you know.
Precisely. That's the point.
Are you saying that she's Daniel Levy as a woman?
Well, in a lot of ways, she is. Listen, we've got to get over this idea. We've got to get over this idea that football, pretty much anywhere, is run by football people anymore. It isn't.
Well, football's secondary, isn't it? It's secondary now. Football is a business, and football's second. And Daniel Levy gets a lot of criticism, quite rightly so. But he's only doing what is now football been doing. The decline of this started in 1992 when the Premier League and Sky forced a deal. The Premier League were an absolute disgrace. Everyone felt sorry for them with a Super League, which they should. But they're as corrupt as every other bloody corporation in this thing. You know,
it's not corruption. True. That's the thing. This is the mistake. It's not corruption. It's perfectly legal. It's
it's corruption at a different level.
It's corruption. It's corruption
at a totally different level. Yeah,
it's corruption of concept, but it's not. You know, there's no illegality there because there's no. It's like the Wild West in football at the moment. It's like real, cowboy capitalism.
It's maybe not corrupt in the corrupt sense, but it's morally corrupt because
of course,
they said this deal was allowed to go through because the Saudi state don't have any say in the public investment funds. But pretty much every person in Saudi Arabia who's got any power is on the bloody board.
Is on part of it, yeah. Well, I mean, the head of it is Crown Prince bin Salman. I mean, where does he get his wealth from?
Mohammed bin Salman.
But what really pisses me off about it all is that the Premier League will continue to work with these companies to get rid of discrimination in football, but yet they're happily allowing a company, essentially Newcastle, in their company to be run by someone who allegedly kills journalists, executes homosexuals because they have a different allegedly, and imprisons women. Yet they'll constantly, when they're working with these people, they'll constantly allow the captains, including Newcastle, to wear the LGBTQ armband and say we want to kick it out. But yeah, it's all right. They've given us 300 billion. That's fine. It's just. They're just as corrupt and as just out of order as every other, as FIFA for allowing a Qatar World Cup. The Qatar World Cup, if no one kicked up a fuss there, they'd be allowing fans to be carried out on stretchers in hospitals because they'd be playing it in the summer. And the Premier League are just as corrupt as anybody. Sky just as corrupt as anybody, and Daniel Levy's as corrupt as anybody. The Glazers, and they're all just.
Chris, I'll just say a famous quote from Rest, right? It's the world. The world is like this now.
And Alan bloody Shearer as well. Alan bloody Shearer. I guarantee, I haven't seen it, but I guarantee he had a moan at City's owners because, you know, the human rights issues, they shouldn't be allowed. And now he's saying, what a wonderful day for Newcastle. I'm painting my face in Newcastle. I've got to be an ambassador for these people who decide to go and kill journalists, kill homosexuals in prison.
This is
allegedly.
Yeah, and the fans are now saying how wonderful it is, but isn't it easy? Isn't it funny how quickly people will sell their bloody soul? But yeah, they're happy to have a go at other people when it's not them. And it's just, it winds me up so bloody much. As you can.
You've got to. The issue that you've got to bear in mind is that this is corporate politics.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But it's crept into football now, and that's what pisses me off so much.
They're all corporatists. They're all corporatists. Okay, yeah. This is business. It's capitalism. Okay, I'm not going to go into the socio-economic politics and all of that stuff. That's not what I'm here for. But ultimately, look, it's the one that always lives in my mind is gay pride. Mm-hmm. When gay pride started in the 80s, I think it was. You know, you had people of what they called alternative lifestyles. It's not alternative, it's just who they are. You know, they would parade in the streets and they would be pelted with abuse, with objects, you know, everything. You go to gay pride now and all of the parades are plastered with McDonald's and, sorry, Jamie, Coca-Cola and all the other sort of big
Coca-Cola,
you know, because
branding,
Yeah, and these people, they're not interested in any of that.
No.
It's only because...
It's a good PR stunt, isn't it? It makes them look good and makes them look like they care when they couldn't give a shit.
No, exactly. Believe me, if there was no money or if there was
you've been taken over.
Disadvantage, if there was a disadvantage to taking the knee, if there was a financial cost, no player would take the knee. Very few of them even give a shit, about the issues. There's one or two, you know,
I've got something for that.
Tyrone Mings, you know, Raheem Sterling have spoken about it, but they don't care. They're not invested in it. And in actual fact, for those of us who are, you know, against sexism, racism, homophobia, all of these things, what
discrimination
they're doing is making things harder for those people. Because the idea of being against racism, against discrimination, against any kind of thing like that is that you have to convince those that don't agree with you. What is the point of talking to people who already agree with you? That you're not going to gain anything by that. These players taking the knee, if you're a racist and you see them taking the knee, all that's going to do is going to make you angry and less likely to actually engage with those that are trying to convince you as a racist. I'm not saying I am or you guys are a person as a racist. The only way to engage with that person is to actually convince them that their thinking is wrong. You don't do that by shoving it down their throats. All they'll do is resent you and become even more racist.
But that's all the Premier League do. The Premier League, they're all happy to run these campaigns. I could run a campaign on Twitter and no one would bloody pay attention to me. It's exactly the same. Like you say, people who are racist, who haven't had the education, don't care if people are taking it. And you say it's people who don't really care about it who are doing it. It's not just that. Going back to gay pride, like you said, started as a genuine thing to raise awareness. Now it's all become political, and everyone loves Tom Daley, don't they? The Olympic diver and everything. I can't stand the guy because he put something on Twitter ages ago. Saying, "Oh, my first gay pride, so happy to be here." Blah blah blah, and everyone knows he is a gay guy. But he had a Barclays shirt on with the gay pride logo, and he's only there because of the Barclays are giving him fucking money.
Barclays paid him.
Excuse my French. And you're a gay guy. You must know how discriminatory people have been to gay people and transsexuals and everything like that. But yet you're only going there because you've been given fucking money. You should be going there because it represents something that is big in your life and you want to raise awareness to it. But yet before Barclays came along, he couldn't give a shit. I can't stand the guy, but he comes across as lovable and everything. Everyone loves him, nice guy. He only does it for fucking.
And he didn't.
I've sworn a lot. I've sworn a lot here.
He didn't come out. And again, I'm not. It's not for me to say when a gay person should come out. It's their choice. But he didn't even come out until after he was famous. That fame has given him some insulation against the real horrors that gay people have suffered.
But whoever created gay pride must be hating it now, because it's gone from whatever they envisioned it to be into something just corporations now coming like saying,
Chris, we need to get back to the original.
Guys, to tell the truth, right? Everything has been commercialized. That's all.
Yes.
Because money has come in, then it becomes a big thing, right? Last time when you said about all these parades, right, it was not a lot of them, right? But nowadays, these parades, they turn it into a party. They turn it into a rave party. It turns into an event. It turns into an opportunity for advertising, for awareness and all that. But the problem, the awareness is not the issues that you're fighting for. The awareness is that, you can drink, you can go to McDonald's, you can go to Kentucky, you can go and have whatever food you want, and sorry to say Coca-Cola or Pepsi and all that. They just put it out there. So it's just another awareness. But what I'm trying to say now, right, like what Rez is saying, we can't stop it. So football, or actually sports in general, right, is slowly evolving. You see, if you don't if you don't evolve with it together, you'll be left behind. That's why a lot of things, like we see what Levy is doing, I understand what he's doing, right? The money and all that, I understand. But in the end of the day, what we are talking about is, right, what do we get from it as fans? Okay, if you say that Tottenham Hotspur is how would you say, winning cups every year, right, fighting for not top 4, fighting for the Premier League every year, right, being in the Champions League, fighting for the Champions League every year, a lot of us wouldn't be here talking about it, correct? We'll be just happy fans and clapping.
We had that chance though, didn't we? Oh, by the way, today I am sponsored by Football Manager, the great. If you could go there, please,
I'm sponsored by Malaysian Tourism Association. All right, please come and visit Malaysia.
Brad, you've changed. You've changed.
I'm supported by Rambo duct tape.
I have to say that this actual cup. We went. I had to go into.
And the best part is that the guy that works for Coca-Cola hasn't brought out a Coca-Cola can yet.
I'll bring out something different. Hold on.
No, he's been a responsible corporate supporter. He's already recycled the cans.
I'm sponsored by Apple. There we go.
Why don't you propose to Levy?
I'm sponsored by Banana.
The Tottenham Coca-Cola Stadium.
My banana's gone funny. Okay.
Excellent. I'm sponsored by my local pub, the Boston Arms. Sunday roast, 11 till 5:30. Do go down. Obviously, I can't give you a fly, but tell them that Red.
You just want a discount.
Yeah. It's actually funny.
10% off.
10% off.
Bringing up Football Manager.
Want a lamb shank?
As a point for this conversation is that I know the company I work for makes Football Manager. I know the guy who actually created it years and years ago with a couple of brothers as a spreadsheet game, effectively, and they always try and modernize it all the time. They even had like a Brexit type thing into the transfers a couple of years ago of how it would affect transfers of players. So I just wonder now whether, because the new version I do believe comes out probably about now, normally comes out about October. I just wonder how Newcastle United are now going to be on that version, whether they're going to actually have to make changes to sort of reflect what's been going on, because it's very. I mean, this is what. Yeah, it's very, very sort of a factual sort of game that relies a lot on being realistic. So yeah,
it's probably a bit too late for the copies that they'll start shipping.
It would
now.
Be,
they'll release an update in a few months, and in that one it will probably happen.
Yeah, definitely,
It'd be interesting what Newcastle do in January and summer, because I saw on YouTube Simon Jordan on TalkSport saying that the financial fair play kicks in after 3 years, so Mike Ashley's kept them at a good level. They're not in the red or anything like that. So he said they could spend whatever they wanted. If they wanted to spend £1 billion in the next 2 transfer windows, they can. It's not. I think they just have to make sure in 3 years' time that they're made no more than 150 million loss, I think.
Or alternatively, just hire a load of lawyers to fight when they think, which is what Man City did.
Exactly. They won't transfer players. They'll just transfer teams. They'll buy PSG and give them a new kit.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Simon Jordan was saying that they can spend £1 billion.
Jamie, you're wrong. They'll just buy Spurs and give them a new kit.
They won't buy PSG. The other thing, actually, when going back to what we were saying about why did Saudi do this, there's also an element of keeping up with the Joneses, because the Emiratis have got their team, the Qataris have got their team. Saudi didn't.
Yeah.
You got to remember, this is the thing.
It's a play thing. You know what, Rez? When I used to live in Australia, a mate of mine was a very, very good footballer, and he actually went to somewhere up in the north of the state, this country, miles and miles away from it, because apparently there was a league there that some of the rich people there had actually formed this league and were paying players, and he went there to play. So even at that sort of level, it happens. They had their own little play league, and he went up there to play there because they pay him the money. So it's very depressing. What I'd like to ask, and this is the moral dilemma I have, is that if Spurs were taken over, say Spurs have been taken over by this Saudi group, and I'd be, really sort of all moral issue about the human rights and that. But I'll tell you what, we win the title in 5 years' time, I'm sure I'm going to be out in the streets jumping around and celebrating. And that I hate thinking that way, but that's how I think.
You will feel. That's the thing.
And I wonder what everyone else thinks about it. So,
the problem with that, I think, is that maybe the first one is something special, and then you celebrate. But the more you win, the less it means. You look at Man City now; it's just a cup. It doesn't mean anything to them. Yeah. They want that Champions League because they've never won it before. But if they win that and then win it again and again, then it means nothing. And I'm quite proud, maybe not proud, but proud of Tottenham that we're not buying stuff. Well, we can't even win stuff, let alone buy stuff. But like Chelsea, PSG, City, and inevitably now you'd think Newcastle have essentially bought all of this stuff.
Yeah,
and people say that Pep's done wonderful at City. He's almost spent £1 billion. Most managers, if you give him £1 billion transfer fee, could probably form a team that could win leagues. But I think the fact that we got close to winning things without this bottomless bucket of money. So, and on another day, another toss of the coin, we'd have won one of those or more of those, and we'd have done it with it, because I don't mind Liverpool now. I want them to win the league. Yeah, they spent a ton of money on Alisson and Van Dijk, but it was all from the sale of Coutinho and probably an extra 20 or 30 million that would have been in their budget anyway. Well, but they haven't gone. Klopp hasn't gone to the owner and go, "Oh, I need £1 billion. Oh, here you go." Yeah. They've actually done it within their means and actually done it within their financial means and won leagues with it.
And so decent to watch as well.
So it can be done. And Man United, Man United as well have all this. Man United have all this money as well, but that all comes from the commercialisation of the biggest club in the world and everything like that. Which,
you know what the funny thing is? Do you really want to know the irony of it? This is what stings for me with Man United. They started this whole commercial giants thing back in the sort of late 80s, early 90s. I always forget the guy's name. I think it's John Freeman, I think it was, who was their sort of commercial guru who started all this. And they redeveloped Old Trafford on it. They built the teams that won in the 90s under Ferguson on the proceeds of this commercial thing. John Freeman left an English club because that English club didn't give him the backing and didn't implement his ideas. That club was Tottenham Hotspur.
Yep.
Seriously?
I remember. Yeah. You're right, Rez.
But in answer to your question, Brad, if we got taken over by a 300 billion whatever, I think I would be happy that we won titles, but there'd always be something in the back of my head saying we didn't earn it. We bought that. We haven't earned that. We've just become one of these. But I mean, it's coming, isn't it? Now with Newcastle doing it 300 billion. Everything. It always gets bigger. It always gets bigger, doesn't it? And so another country will come in. But I'm quite pleased that we're not. I mean, I want to win titles, and we haven't won anything since I was a kid. But apart from a League Cup, but we haven't won a league in my lifetime. But
my lifetime.
I'm not
either.
sure I'd be happy with winning leagues because we've got all this money and we can just spend without any sanctions.
Yeah, I was saying to my mum today. My mum's just this week turns 86, and I was saying to her that if I have her say I'm 61 at the moment, so if I live for another 20 years, let's say, I don't think I'll see Tottenham win the title in my lifetime, and that's really sad when you have to put it in that perspective. And I was also thinking this morning that I followed Tottenham from 1968. We won the League Cup in 1971. We won the UEFA Cup in 1972. The League Cup in 1973. The UEFA Cup in the FA Cup in 1981. The FA Cup in 1982. The UEFA Cup in 1984, 85, I think it was, and then 84. The FA Cup in 1991. And I don't think I've missed out anything. And then ENIC at some stage after that took over. And in the 20-odd years, 21 years we've won the League Cup. That's it. And for anyone that you can argue what you like about whether ENIC are good or bad, but that is the one stat that you cannot disagree with, that under their ownership, we have won one cup, and a small one at that, in 21 years of them owning us. Oh, yeah, we got a nice stadium. Oh, yeah, I love the stadium. And I love our stadium. Don't get me wrong, I love our stadium. We got the nice training ground and that. But football is about winning things, and
but that goes to what we were saying earlier. Football is a business. It's football second, because the business is the stadium. The business is the Anthony Joshua fights, the Guns N' Roses gig, the NFL. The football.
Which one?
Is second.
Which one?
The night. Big up. First time seeing you on the stream. Thanks for joining.
Rez looks like a lightweight version of Tyson Fury.
Okay, hold on, guys. To tell the truth, right?
Like Walter White.
We've jumped. Hold your horses. I agree. I think Rez is the first time on Spurs Vision TV, and today actually is called Introducing More Friends, right? Rez, you have to tell us how did you actually become involved with Tottenham Hotspur? Usually just we start with new guests. Okay. Your history with us. No pressure, just give us a short, short kind of a history with our club.
So my family is Iranian. They moved over here in 1977, and in Iran at that time it was all Liverpool. And my brother didn't want to sort of go with the herd, and he sort of flitted around a little bit trying to find a different English club that he could support, and he went by how much he liked the name. So at first, for a very brief period, he was an Aston Villa fan, but then he found out that they were in Birmingham and we were in London, so he wanted a London club, and so he liked the name Tottenham Hotspur, so he started supporting them very early. When they came, I was born in 78, so I was born a few months after the family sort of came here. And when I was a kid, it was that lip service. Who do you support? Oh, Spurs, because my brother does. And then I started getting into it myself a lot more, and I just my love developed because of. Just it was almost in my blood, I think. The family lived in Edmonton for a while, in the early 80s. So that was Tottenham territory anyway. And I sort of just fell into it really by accident almost.
Regret it now, don't you?
No, to tell the truth, no, I don't regret.
Brother, damn you!
I've never regretted it supporting Spurs. To tell the truth, right? Even so much heartbreak and all that, never regretted it, right? And like you said, Tottenham till I die, or Tottenham until he kills me, right? Either or, right? And my projection for the league now is be somewhere around 2052. Right after we pay off the stadium loans,
we'll have had a new stadium. We'll have had a new stadium by then, Eugene. So we'll have two loans to outstanding.
If you say that, right, that means we won't even win it until 2222.
Well, give it 5 years, Eugene. We'll have our stadium and an NFL one. We'll have a separate NFL one.
Well, that's the thing. The finances aren't. It's not quite as
straightforward.
Clear, yeah, it's not as straightforward as that, and it's actually the thing. The stadium debt is actually not much of a drag.
He's actually done that.
I don't know. Yeah,
he's done that quite
I understand.
well.
Yeah, no, the one thing he did it, the 30-year loan for about 800 million pounds, right? It's a smart move, right? Because rich people get big loans with very low interest.
Very little interest. Yeah,
very low interest.
We got a 0% interest loan, didn't we? Of about 115 during the lockdown or the coronavirus shutdown or something, didn't we?
That was from the Bank of England. That was from the Bank of England, and it was specifically to help get
COVID.
through lockdown. And it had to be paid back by March of next year. That was
we've still got the loan of
another loan from the Bank of
England. But guys, we've still got the loan of the stadium and the loan of that from the Bank of England. So we've still got extra loans piling up.
Yeah. But don't forget, right? Apart from that loan, Levy turned that loan into a debt paper or something. Then he sold it off to the Bank of America or something to get more money for them.
Yes.
Smart move, right?
Yes.
And Adam says 2052, he can't wait that long.
You mean it's only 30 years? By then.
How did Levi get into the board with so much debt then?
Say again?
Sorry?
I mean, how did Levi get into the board with so much debt in his name and stuff like that? Like,
maybe they blackmailed him.
No,
it's not his debt.
It's not his debt.
It's not his debt. It's not his debt. It's the club's debt. Okay. So the corporation carries the debt, not him.
Guys, hold on. Anything else to talk about Newcastle takeover? If not, then we switch to the next topic. More or less, we'll talk about the money in Spurs. Then this is where we're carrying on to, right? So understanding the finances of THFC, right?
I've been invaded by a bee. Sorry.
Are you going to do some sponsors for honey?
No, he's been invaded. He's got a Brentford fan in the room.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's gone. I mean, they just flying in.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they're all dead this time of year, but anyway.
No, bees are good, Brad. Bees.
No, I don't kill them. I don't kill them.
Don't kill them.
It might be a Watford fan if it's a hornet.
Yes. And don't go to Watford, please.
Or a rugby fan, or a wasp.
Yeah.
Rugby fans it was. Yeah.
Did you know they're the only rugby team in world that have a B team? I do apologise.
Okay.
Jamie says those jokes all the time. I thought it was an open forum.
All right, which Jamie?
He's got special dispensation.
Now you can go with Jamie. Guys. All right. To be serious now. Rest has done a lot of a lot of studying into our finances and all that, because as I understand, right, if you are a private limited company, it's always controlled by, in Malaysia we call it the ROC, Registers of Company, correct, Res? And I'm sure that Malaysia and UK, because we are an ex-colony country, I mean colonized by the British last time, we more or less run the same laws, the same structures and all that, right? So, of course, a lot of the documents that we want to look for actually can be found if you go through the registrar of companies, and you can actually find out who are the directors, who holds how many percent and all that. And now has come out to say that actually ENIC owns only 85.5% of the shares of THFC private limited company. That is one company, right? And ENIC owns it in one block. And we're not even looking into the ENIC division where Levy owns 30%, then Tavistock owns don't know how many percent, and then Balance is owned by another group of people, maybe individual shareholders in ENIC. Don't forget, ENIC is actually called the English
National Investment
Company.
Yeah, National Investment Company again. So, and they were listed too, right? In the beginning,
well,
and they brought.
I mean, the ownership. If you start with Tottenham Hotspur Limited.
Hold on, rest. Jamie needs to. Jamie from London. Okay, Jamie from London needs to make a move.
I am originally.
You're in Manila now, right? So Jamie from London needs to make a move because he has to finish off some work for Coca-Cola. Yeah. Why am I branding Coca-Cola so much, Jamie?
Thank you for having
me.
You're
going to make him lose his job.
Jamie, just give your channel a shout out where we can find you and all that.
You can find me on Talking Tottenham TV. I've not done that much content recently because I've been pretty busy with other stuff. So when we get back to next week, there might be some more content coming out. But yeah, if you want to come over, follow me, subscribe, have a little chat. I'm going to be on Chris's channel tomorrow for the quiz, I believe.
Oh yeah, I'll see you there then, Jamie.
So hopefully I can win this prize, whatever he's got. I'm not sure if it's season tickets to Tottenham Hotspur, then you can keep it.
Newcastle.
Picture in the background. It's the picture in the background.
Is it a picture in the background?
It's not that. It's not the picture in the background. That's my favourite one.
Well, I want
reminds me of a happy time, which isn't going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but thank you, Eugene, for having me on. And
Jamie, thanks for coming on. Right. Thanks for support. We'll catch up later.
See you, Jamie.
Thank you. Bye. All right. And just let me read a few more comments out from the chats. Right. The latest news. Neymar says 2022 World Cup could be his last. What are your views on it? All right. We'll come to that later.
Who cares?
Who cares? Sorry to say, the panel doesn't care.
I can fake, because I went to drama school when I was a kid. I can fake a reaction if you'd like. Right. But I mean, 2 years of training.
There is a Spurs story.
It's paid off.
John Fitzpatrick, thanks for the support. Right, this Newcastle takeover is nothing but bad for us. Trying to challenge for top 4 will be next to impossible now. Yep, that's true. That's true.
It's true, but that's true of everyone. It's not just us with the issue.
Really. It's everyone. Everyone is affected. Yep. Okay, Jamie from Manila. Go ahead.
No, there's a story from One Football that says that we're looking at Morata because Juventus are not thinking about keeping him permanently. So,
he's left. Are we talking about the player or the person?
Morata.
Player.
Sorry, because when Paratici worked with a guy called Morata in terms of at Juventus to sort of buy players and do the football structure, and he left for someone else, and then Paratici was the sort of only person. Sorry, I thought it was about him.
Sorry, tonight. Sorry. Yeah, we expected that.
Rez, the story's in the private chat.
No, but how old is Morata?
He must be around 27, 28.
29, around there, right? I mean, if he's being brought in as a backup for Harry Kane or to play alongside him, then maybe yes. But for a 29-year-old, I don't think Levy will spend that kind of money for him, right? We know how he operates, so I don't think Morata will be unless it's a short-term kind of thing, right? But
first off, he's not gonna get much service, so it's not gonna be a big.
It won't make much effect on it, right? And like I was saying, understanding the finance of the football club, right? We were saying that INEC owns a certain amount, and then there's another 14.5% out there. Is there any way that we actually can find out who actually holds the shares? Because Brad used to hold some, according to him. He used to hold 2.
In his back pocket.
Yeah, and he's been bought out. And Jamie said, "What did Brad buy with his 2 shares?"
A pie. Just a prestige and a little which I've lost now. I think it's probably around here somewhere. A little sort of certificate.
No, the certificate is actually a legal requirement. You have a company, a public limited company, or a company that issues shares on a stock market. You have to be able to. You have to provide proof to the shareholder that they own those shares.
Well, I've got a question for you, Rez. I've been saying this for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and my knowledge of companies and that is not good. Because we're owned by the English National Investment Company, their obligations to their shareholders, and they're not going to take risks for their shareholders. Would this be why that we can't spend the extra money to get your player, whereas your Man Cities and Chelseas are owned by owners that just basically give them pocket money to go and spend?
Okay, so I'll give you a brief breakdown of the ownership structure, and then we'll talk about that very quickly. So basically, you've got Tottenham Hotspur Limited. Okay, so that's our
limited or private limited.
Limited. In England, you've got limited companies. You've got another version limited liability partnerships. Then you've got public limited companies. A public limited company is one that is exchanged on a stock exchange.
On the stock market, That's
on stock market. It's not necessarily, there's more than one. So you've got like the FTSE 100, the AIM, there are various different.
New York, anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, within the country that they're in. So that's a traded, I can go to, if I had a stockbroker, I'd go to my stockbroker and I'd say, I'd like to buy 10,000 shares in Tottenham Hotspur PLC, because those shares are publicly traded on a stock market.
Okay.
A limited company is private.
Private.
It is not. It is owned by the people that own it, essentially. Now that can be one person, it can be two people, it can be 10,000 people. But it's private. So some of the rules that a public limited company has to abide by, such as having an annual general shareholders meeting every year, things of that nature, the fact that they have to publish certain details about themselves and their operations, they are not the same for a limited company. So we have Tottenham Hotspur Limited, and that's a private company. The ownership of that is ENIC Sports Incorporated, and they're based in the Bahamas, and they own 80.
Sorry, hold on, rest. THFC Limited is owned by not ENIC as the English network, English
National Investment
Corporation. So it's owned by ENIC Sports. That's another company.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And also just to bear in mind, this is key. It's not Tottenham Hotspur Football Club Limited. It's Tottenham Hotspur Limited. Right, and that's an umbrella company that owns other companies underneath it. They're subsidiaries to Tottenham Hotspur Limited as well. So they're owned, but they're all wholly owned by Tottenham Hotspur Limited. So there's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium Limited, for instance. There's Tottenham Hotspur Athletic and Football Club Limited. I think that's another subsidiary underneath that Tottenham Hotspur Limited umbrella company. So that umbrella company is owned 85.6% owned by ENIC Sports Incorporated and 14.4% owned by other shareholders. Right?
All right.
ENIC Sports Incorporated is wholly owned by ENIC International Limited.
Another company above ENIC Sports Incorporated, and that's called ENIC International Limited. And then ENIC International Limited is itself 74%, I think it is 74% owned by Tavistock Group, and the rest is owned by Daniel Levy and his family. What?
Okay. Yeah.
Then how does he own up to 30% then?
It's roughly that 20 something percent. It's either 72% or 71%. It's around 70 something percent is Tavistock Group, and the rest is Daniel Levy and his family, essentially.
Of ENIC International.
Of ENIC International, yes, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. Of ENIC International, which ENIC International holds another.
They have a subsidiary. They have a subsidiary called ENIC Sports Incorporated. That's 100% owned by ENIC International Limited. And then ENIC own.
Rest. You need a whiteboard. You need a whiteboard to draw all the circles.
It's true.
Yeah. We need the schematics.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Rest. Go ahead.
Ultimately, it all. You see, the ownership of a football club is actually of less importance nowadays, because one thing you've got to bear in mind, this is the problem. This is where the problems with finance, and this is where the problems with the toothlessness of financial fair play come in, because in in sort of corporate law, and I'm not an expert on this, so if there was an accountant out there who can fully educate me on this, I'd be appreciative.
We need Stelios.
Yeah,
we need Arthur, but I couldn't reach him today. Yeah,
but an individual can't just come in and pump money into any company, not just a football club. You can't just pour money in, right? Because that if you do that, you need to get something in return. You can't just pour capital into a thing. It has to be for a particular purpose. So when somebody pumps money in, if they're saying this is money I'm giving you, the company has to say, okay, in return, we're giving you some of our stock.
Shares.
Yeah. Okay. The other way, though, and this is the way that Abramovich has done it, is that an individual can lend money to a company.
A loan.
Exactly. And Abramovich has lent close to £1 billion to Chelsea. And it's still on their accounts as debt owing to Roman Abramovich. It's zero interest, so they don't pay anything on it, and it just sits there. It's just debt. Right?
That means if a new buyer wants to come in to buy Chelsea, right, they have to pay that loan off to Abramovich first on top of the value of the club.
Not exactly. You don't actually have to, because debt is part of the structure of the company. Now, it depends on what Abramovich wants. So Abramovich could say to me, "Hi, Rez, do you want to buy Chelsea? It will cost you £1, right? I can give him £1, and the debt will still be on the company. He can then turn around and say, right, Rez, I want my money back, right? Or he could say, I don't care about the money. You can just let it sit there. That's true. Yeah, it's not.
I understand.
Yeah, it's that sort of thing. Now, the other way in which you can pump money into the club, which is the way the Al Nahyans have done with Man City, is to basically fake sponsorship deals. Which is what was in the Der Spiegel papers. And this is where the problems with Spurs come, because the key indicator of how much a club spends is not in things like net spend, in terms of we spent £150 million on X player or X players, because that's not how transfers work anymore. The way it works is that it is about the amount of your turnover that you have devoted to your spending. And on that number, Spurs are the lowest in the Premier League, possibly the lowest in the entire English league system. Because there are, in the Championship, Reading, for instance, a couple of years ago, they spent 194%. So basically nearly double their turnover. Whereas Spurs, the last figures that I could find was 46%. Leicester, the last figures I found were 108% of their turnover. Again, they're borrowing from their owner to do it. To fund.
Is that because with us, because we've got that big £1 billion stadium or however much it costs, so they can't spend all of that money because they've got to find some way to pay that stadium back. So it's a similar situation at Arsenal when the Emirates was had just been built, that you can't go spending all of this money because you've
but the thing is that
already on your books.
Our stadium loan, right, is spread out for 30 years. So your repayment per annum, right, is not that much.
I was told that it's around 25 to 30 million pounds a year that we're thinking. You've got to bear in mind our turnover is in the range of between 350 and 500 million a year. But another thing that I heard, I don't know how accurate it is because there was no source, there was only one source, was that the terms of the loan that we took may be one of the things that's restricting our spending. But the issue here is that even a 10% increase in our wages to turnover ratio would equate to a large amount of increased spending because of the way that transfers work. When Jack Grealish went from Villa to Man City, there wasn't like an app where Man City transferred 100 million over from their bank account to Aston Villa's bank account. It wasn't like Villa's bank account was £4.37 and then all of a sudden became 100 million and £4.37.
Yep.
The way that a transfer works is that when you do that, because it's actually the transfer of an asset. It is not there is an employment side to it, but it's not like hiring an employee. It is the transfer of an asset. And this is actually where the Bozeman ruling is actually a load of bullshit, because we're not talking about employment anymore, right? We're talking about transfers. But when it transfers, what happens is that the buying club will set up a payment schedule with the selling club to spread potentially over the length of the contract that they give, or even longer. So, you know, Man City paying Aston Villa, they probably make monthly payments. It will be in the region of a couple of million a month, not that big chunk of 100 million, because that's just terrible accounting anyway.
Can Aston Villa though? They know they're getting 100 million in. Let's say there's 0% interest there. They know they're getting 100 million in. So they could theoretically pay for £100 million worth of players, do exactly the same thing, spread that round. The same amount of time that Man City are paying for Jack Grealish, and then don't lose any money. But obviously it's not going to be an issue for them because Man City have all this money. But if you do it with, I don't know, a football club that don't have that much money in the whole coronavirus situation, what then happens if that company who then owe another 50 million for a player go bust? Does that become the administrators then pay that, and then they still get their money, the selling club? It's just not from the company that bought the player and the asset in the first place.
An administrator is not a company that buys a company that's going bust. The administrator is there to ensure that whatever money can be realized from the company's assets is split fairly between all its creditors. So let's say, for instance, a company owns 100 million and they owe 30% to company A, 30% to company B, and 40% to company C. But then when you realize those assets, the assets only come to 10 million. So what the administrator will do is ensure that 3 million goes to company A, 3 million goes to company B, and 4 million goes to company C. It's just about splitting things fairly. That's what an administrator is for. Is there to sell the assets, realize as much money as possible, and then distribute that amongst the creditors. Right.
Just hold on, Rest. Hold on, Rest. Adam, welcome. Nice to see you at last.
Adam,
right? Nice to see you. Last I came on the icon. Now it's your face. Adam, the rest of the guys, I'm sure you've met them before in most.
I've seen them on here. Like,
Rez, Brad, and Prithvi, Chris, and all that. You've seen this around. Adam, good to have you here. And Rez, sorry. Continue, Rez.
So the other question that you asked, Chris, was about, okay, so Man City are going to be paying Aston Villa money. The thing you got to bear in mind is this, is that it's not as simple as that. It's the refrain, okay? The answer will almost always start with, it's not as simple as that. The thing here is that, okay, so Man City have got a payment relationship with Aston Villa, okay? But the likelihood is that Aston Villa will probably already have a payment relationship with Man City because of the number of transfers that happen every year all around the globe. So let's say you set up a payment schedule for the transfer of a player over a course of 6 years, right? When one player transfers from club A to club B. So there's a payment relationship between club A and club B. But then club B, after 2 years, sell the player to club C. So club C and club B now have a payment relationship, which affects the payment relationship between club B and club A, right? So you've got that chain going. So it's like this spider web of money moving in all kinds of weird and wonderful directions that makes it sort of difficult to sort of think of it in terms of, I've got 100 million I can now spend. The other thing you got to bear in mind is that income is part of your turnover. You know, it's not just, you've got to treat it as part of the overall accounting principles. So when money comes in, you put it into your turnover, and that's why for me the whole net spend, the things we were used to, we've got this much in the war chest this summer, we're gonna sell Harry Kane for 130 and buy Vlahovic for 70 million and have 60 million profit. It's not gonna be like that, right? There's very few football clubs have any significant cash reserves, be that through holding on to profit or through player sales. It's all about turnover. It's all about income streams and spending streams rather than ponds of money, if that makes sense.
So example is that, let's say we take the 100 million Jack Grealish went from Aston Villa to M City. Maybe M City pays 50 million upfront. Then maybe the next 5 payments come in as in 10 million, 10 million, 10 million for the next 5 years.
Don't know. We don't know.
That's why.
It could be anything.
Okay. A question here for you, Rez. All these transfer deals, right? Is it public knowledge? Somebody has to keep a record of it, right?
Only. Well, the clubs themselves keep their accounts.
Okay.
And in terms of public, half of them are undisclosed, aren't they? So the public don't know that. It's just between the two parties, I'm assuming, and a kind of private.
Okay. Do the shareholders have a right to know?
It depends if they're a public limited company or not. If
it's a private limited company, let's say it's a private limited company.
A private company still has to lodge it, has to submit its accounts every year. Yeah. So somebody can go and look them up. But bear in mind, there's so much creative accounting, very complicated accounting in there.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when you buy a player, right, because it's the transfer of an asset now, that adds book value to your company. So how do you determine that? How do you determine what the value that is added to your company is? Then you've got something called amortization.
Amortization,
when a company buys an asset, that asset is not worth that amount forever. Every year, the value of that asset comes down.
You're losing the value,
if it's a tangible asset like this, or a computer or something, it's called depreciation.
Yeah.
If it's an intangible asset, which is what a player is, because although they are a physical thing, the value they bring to the company is intangible. So for that, you have amortization. So when it comes to buying a player, again, it's not as simple as just paying the money. What you do is that you transfer that asset onto your value, and then every month there's a cost associated with it. But as the buying club, you add the wages that you're paying him onto it, the image rights, that could be either a benefit or a loss, depending on how the image rights are set up. And every player, almost every single player, has some image right issues to deal with.
Especially
it's not just it's not like just the likes of Paulo Dybala, for instance, where we fell over because of the image rights. That's bollocks. Okay, every
12 million pounds they were saying.
Okay. There are always things to deal with. I mean, you remember on the All or Nothing documentary? Do you remember Jose Mourinho when he was signing his contract? Did you see the size of it? It was about that thick.
Yeah.
Right? I've got a PDF of Jimmy Greaves's contract with Spurs, signed back in 1962. Right?
How many pages was it?
6. Okay. And it was a form that they filled in some of the details by hand. It was like, this player named James Peter Greaves will sign on, fill in the date, fill in the wages. I think it was £100 a week or something. And then his bonuses are on page 5, written in the side, in the margins. Right? That doesn't happen anymore because players are no longer just employees.
Also, Rez, before because they used to have a minimum wage, didn't they, for football?
Maximum wage.
Maximum wage. Sorry. Before that went, they used to employ players, and they sort of employed them in the office. So they could pay them more.
And a lot of the time they wouldn't even pay them in the off season. So they would have to go and take other jobs.
I remember. Those days when you don't play, you don't get paid.
You don't get money. They're paying you to train. If you're not, as Pochettino said, you're paid to train, not paying to play.
That's right.
It shows. I mean, look again. When I say we're run by suits, it's this because it's so complicated. It's so financial now that, in actual fact, the football is almost like it's, McDonald's, right? McDonald's, what their job is obviously to sell burgers, right? But that's the thing that keeps them ticking over. It's not the primary focus for them. It's about maximizing their revenue and minimizing their losses. Adding to share value. So there was another question. It might have been you, Chris, who asked it. I can't remember. It could have been you, Brad, with regard to the responsibility that a company has to its shareholders. So yes, but the thing about that is that is part of every company's legal requirement. I'm not making that up. They are legally required to do what is best for their shareholders, which is to make money. It's if a company deliberately said, no, we are going to make a loss and we don't give a shit, then potentially they could be in breach of corporate law and their shareholders can sue them. Because you've got to make money for me.
Yeah, this is always my point about Enid or Daniel Levy and the fact that we made £100 million from the Champions League. Okay, we got to the final, but why? So surely by paying the extra $5 million or whatever it was for Bruno Fernandes, that could have got us into the Champions League and made more money out of it. So I don't understand. Yes, I don't understand about.
It actually comes back to the idea. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. I mean, look, I maintain, and anyone who's sort of seen me talk on Shelfside Spur will know, I have a firm belief that the problems at Spurs with regard to our performance over the last 3-4 years is actually cultural rather than specifically financial. It's related to the finances, but it's a cultural level thing in that we have a owner who very, very, very obviously prioritizes finance over football. And that has seeped in to the whole structure, the roots of the club. It's in the walls, and that will affect the players. So he wanted to impose a wage cut on non-playing staff of 20% back in March, I think it was, and put some of them on furlough. And there was a massive outcry, from the public, funnily enough, not from the staff. And then they turned it around and said, oh, it will just be the board that get a 20% wage cut. It's like, oh, well done. But that seeps through. The non-playing staff mix with the playing staff on occasion. That culture. Everyone's worked in an organization where morale is low. It doesn't matter if you're in the same team as your colleague, but if the whole organization is in that state, it will spread. It's an infection. I think that's the reason. And one of the reasons is leaving. And this is why I'm not Enoch out, because that's unrealistic.
Correct.
Okay. We have 3.5 billion reasons to stay.
True.
But you can get Levy out.
Yeah.
You don't have you don't have to be run by your owner.
Could I just quickly ask, Les? You said that he cares more about the money than the football, which I have to agree with. And you said that we have £340 million turnover, but we're only spending 46% of it. Do you think there's a case that we've obviously got, I don't know, £1 billion worth of debt because of that stadium? Do you think it's a case that he's not spending that money to try and get that debt down and make it more attractive to buyers? And this is all him kind of preparing a sale, as it were, rather than progressing the team forward, because he tried that, it obviously didn't work, we got close, didn't try that, now he's preparing the sale, was no one really, I mean the Saudis could easily handle £1 billion debt, but it's much easier to handle a pretty much nothing debt with Newcastle. So do you think he's not spending because he's preparing to sell?
Chris, if you wanted to clear your debt quick, right, you wouldn't take a 30-year loan on £1 billion debt.
No,
you understand? Yeah, you would take a short-term loan.
It's just strange that it's just strange. Like Ben says, we have £340 million turnover and we're hardly spending any money when I can't remember the other clubs that you mentioned. Or
and Rez,
do you think it's a case of him looking to sell?
Yeah,
or get out rather?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you see, the possibility certainly exists, because although the debt would transfer over, and I mean, this is the thing: the loan will be to Tottenham Hotspur Limited. So if you sell the company, that loan is still there.
Yeah,
and you're repaying it. It doesn't matter who the owner is. It doesn't matter who your chief executive is, who your shareholders are. That structure still exists.
Yeah.
The only reason why Levy may be wanting to pay the debt down that I can think of would be because a debt-free company is always a more attractive proposition than one that has a lot of debt to a potential buyer. So that's possible, but there are actually reasons why he might not be looking to sell, and this comes back to personal finance. So I've mentioned this again on Shelfside Spur. What we're plebs, right? We go to work, we earn a salary. We earn a salary. No, we're plebs, believe me.
Big up the working class.
Yes, working class heroes, lads.
And we spend it. We go shopping, we buy our food, we buy things, little Googles, things that we like, things that we consume, right? And that's our relationship with money. We earn it and we spend it. Rich people don't act like that. And I'm going to sound like a real sort of dyed in the wood red lefty, but it's not. It's the reality, right? Rich people, those that operate with regard to stock, things that they own, what they do is that they use the things they own to borrow money. And the reason that they do that, is one, low interest, but specifically, I'll ask, let me put this to you guys, see if you can see the picture. Why is interest attractive? I mean, obviously no one wants to pay interest, but why pay interest on a loan?
You get more money.
What's the alternative?
You have to pay more money for the actual thing that you want in the first place, maybe.
Sort of. What do we do with our money? What happens to our money when we earn it?
We spend it.
Yeah, but what happens before that? Before we actually get it into our bank accounts,
gets taxed and deducted.
We get taxed.
Yeah.
You don't pay tax on a loan. It's not income.
Okay.
All right.
But the tax is much higher than the interest that's being...
Tax is much higher than the interest. Okay. So when you've got something that's worth 3 billion, 2 billion, however much it is, you go to a bank and say, hello, Mr. Bank Manager, I have this very valuable asset. Can you lend me some money against it, please? And they say, of course, sir. We would love to lend you some money because you are someone who has built this, even though he hasn't. So they lend money and you can live a lifestyle on the money that you borrow. And if later you run into problems, the bank aren't going to come and say, you owe us money. Can we have your asset, please? They come to you and say, you're a valued customer. We'll give you an opportunity to sell your asset so you can pay our loan off for us. Yeah. And that's what they do. Again, it's high finance and the rich and the elite. And there is a massive disconnect between us and again, this makes me sound like I'm some lefty. That it's not. It's just the reality.
No, that's reality. The world is like this now. And like recently, the Pandora Papers were leaked again. It shows all that nonsense that you were saying. You're owned by one company, which is owned by another company, which is owned by another company. There could be another 14 to 15 companies that is actually linked to just our club.
One person,
for all you know. Yeah, we do not know. But like
the THST group, you look at the portfolio, it's enormous.
Yeah,
huge
they've got everything. I saw it. I went into it. They've got it. They're in the F&B. They're into property. They're into sports. They're into events. I think they're into everything, even into medical nowadays. But what I'm saying now, do we see the dividend that has been given out to the shareholders? Have you seen it before when you're going through the papers? How much do the shareholders get?
I think Spurs paid a dividend once in the last 20 years.
Serious?
But the thing is, you've got to bear in mind, football, and this speaks to the point. A lot of people say, "Oh, ENIC are just there to take money out of the club." No,
where did all the money go?
Well, this is the thing. I think this is an excellent question. This is the question that I've not been able to find an answer to. Where's the rest of it? Is my question.
I will tell you where the rest of it, but not on live rest later. Later, after this show, right? Usually I'll do a dissection privately, not on live, because if I let too many things out too easily, then
you could
dangerous.
Get sued.
A bit dangerous. Sued. I'm not worried about getting sued. I'm in Malaysia. Come and sue me if you want to.
That's the part before over that it will to sue you.
I don't care. Come and sue me. I'm in Malaysia. If you want to come and sue me, right?
You don't want to say that, Eugene. Travel restrictions are being eased at this moment in time.
Yeah, remember, you only need to do a lateral flow test now. You don't need that very expensive PCR test.
No, but what I'm saying, if there's no records of dividends going out to the shareholders, right? You being a shareholder for 20 years, right? There's no way that you're going to just sit down and say that if I put this money in the bank, at least I'll get interest. There must be dividends going out. And if there's no dividends going out to the shareholders in the records of our club, there's something going on.
You've got to bear in mind, a company is not required to pay a dividend.
No, I know it's not required.
So
if you pay, like you're saying, if I pay you dividend, you will have to record it with HMS.
As a shareholder, with HMRC,
you have to pay the taxes on it.
I've got to declare it as income. Yes, absolutely.
It's income, so that means those shareholders must declare the income, and they must review where the income comes from. All right. After 9/11, all monies must be reviewed where it comes from, especially big amount, right? So if the shareholders are not getting dividends and they can't be happy about it, so that means dividend must be paid in a different form somewhere else.
I think, that's the thing. What happens when it comes to a dividend? A company at the time of the sort of annual accounting, it's actually in the run up to April, which is the sort of the financial
before
year
June.
The UK, what they
June
will
is the closing,
but it doesn't have to be in April. A company can basically say our accounts start in November, and that's when we do our accounting. They can choose when they want, but in the run up to their accounting, they will basically say, okay, this is what the performance has been like this year. Are we going to pay a dividend? And they can say yes or no. And one thing you've got to bear in mind, football in terms of pure profit is not very profit. No club makes massive amounts of profit. I think
it's only paper profits.
No, I mean in terms of actual sort of making more money than you spend, essentially, which is what profit is, right? But there are always ways in which you can spend as well to sort of reduce your profit margin. I know. A company will
and all that.
I don't know if they can't do it legally, but certainly no company that is not making a profit will choose to pay a dividend.
Okay, I give you an example. I used to work for a company in Malaysia. They were making a lot of profits. What they did is very simple. I want to reduce my amount of taxes, right? What the company did is they picked about 5 or 10 high-performing employees. They said, "I'll buy you your cars." Right, and they take that money, right, and it becomes tax deductible, right? Yes. But when I buy you your cars, in the end of the day, they will go behind and says that it will be deducted over a period of time of how much money. That's how they avoid paying. For instance.
And
so
one thing that's very interesting about Spurs players' contracts is that very, very bonus heavy, very, very incentive heavy.
Nothing like
Chris.
Paul paid footballers to Tottenham recently. So.
Just hold on, Chris. Chris, if you have to jump off, just let me know. Right.
It'll be about 10 minutes. I've got to go and do my shopping before they close.
I'm sorry to have to go into all of this detail and stuff, guys, but
no, it's interesting because we understand the finances of the club, right? That's what this show today is about. Because to me, right, I see it's like this: ENIC owns 85.6% of Tottenham Football Club. Let's say Tottenham Football Club or whatever you call
Tottenham
it, right?
Hotspur Limited. Call it THL.
Okay, THL, Tottenham Hotspur Limited. Then there's another 14.4% of share private. Is it one private individual or is it spread around? We do not know because
we don't know.
Brad used to be Brad used to be one, right? Brad used to be one, right? And
ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
Ding dong, ding dong. And somehow or another, let me see who else is joining us. Oh, Soham. That's Soham. Hi, Soham. Soham is from Kolkata Spurs. Soham,
Newcastle.
Adam. Soham, we're talking about the finance of Tottenham Hotspur, and Rez is just letting us know how it's going on because he's done a bit of study on the Spurs financing side and all that. So I'm saying, for example, now, if I was one of the 14% shareholders, right? And let's say, is that you, Soham? The background noise.
I think it's a motorbike. It's not.
Soham's got background noise.
He's gone to kill him.
One of Levy's agents.
But he has got a T-shirt to the effect. So
you're wearing red today, Soham.
Yeah.
Okay, as I was saying, right? If I was one of the 14.4% shareholder, right? If I turn around and say that
dividend,
why? Number one, where's my dividend?
Yep.
All right. One, I think I'll have to mute you for a while, Soham. While you want to talk, the time you just unmute yourself, okay? Yeah, because it. Oh, Soham is.
That was a bit of a harsh muting.
I didn't mute him. He just jumped
Press
up
the wrong
and
button,
he's
Eugene.
back on again.
I'm going to mute you by removing you.
Sorry, Soham.
Remember, Eugene, don't hit the big red button.
Where is it?
You must have pressed it because Soham disappeared.
Okay. No, my question is like this. Like I was saying, right? If I'm part of the shareholders and I'm holding shares, right? Number one, our question: where is my dividend? 20 years, I've not seen any dividend, right? Let's say like they haven't given dividend out, but I'm for sure for 20 years you're sitting down. I'm sure some kind of dividend has been given out to the shareholders, but it's just not recorded. Later, I'll explain to you how it's done, right? Then, what if I'm part of that 14.4%, right? I'm fed up with what's happening. I've raised 500 million pounds and I want to inject it into Spurs. Can I do that?
No.
As a private shareholder, why can't I? I have a right.
Because you can't just do that under corporate law. You can't just pump money in. You have to have something. You have to get something in return for it.
But you could do it as a loan.
Sorry.
You can do it as a loan, but you can't do it just for sort of putting money in. And on top of that, it would have to be ratified by the board.
Yes,
and it would be done by voting rights. If it's one shareholder who owns 14.4%, that would probably only get them 14.4% of the votes on the board.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to, and a lot of shareholders won't even exercise their rights on that. You know, they would say, I don't care, you run the company as you like. You've got to bear in mind, or you've got to ask yourself the question, why does somebody buy shares in a company? It's not for the dividend. It's not for the dividend, right? My family had shares in British Gas. You know, we would get dividends of £1.20 a year. It's like, I can't live the life of Riley on that.
Yep.
An investment.
But
an investment.
I mean,
you buy the shares to see if they'll go up in value later, and then you sell it for a profit. If you're a pleb like me.
But Rez, I'm saying what you're talking about as public shares. If you hold public shares, they have to announce losses and all that. They will have to give dividends out as a public share.
Not public. It's not public.
British Gas is not public.
Spurs is no longer a PLC.
No, that's right. That's right. I'm saying, let's say it's Spurs, right? I'm part of that 14. That means even if I want to pump in money, right? Levy is not spending to buy players. And if I get fed up, okay, I'm going to put 100 million in to buy a player, right? But like you said, for them to take that 100 million in, right, they will have to ratify it, to approve it, to accept it, because every month, every pound that I pump in, it will increase my shareholding and dilute their shareholding. That's why they won't accept it.
They would have to. Well, that's one way of doing it. Yeah, I mean, you could say I want to buy this amount of stock, but there's no stock outstanding at the moment. So what would have to happen is that the company THL would have to split its stock. That's one of the ways in which a company can raise money if it needs it, is by doing a share issue, essentially. So let's say there are 100. Most companies, when you first set them up, you can go to, there are companies out there that help you set up a company. You pay them 100 quid to do all the paperwork. And usually you get these forms and it basically says that the company is split into 100 shares, right? And if you're by yourself, you get all 100 and they're yours, right? And you can sell as many of them as you like. You then sell them, and that's the outstanding stock. And what you can do is that you can do another share issue. You say, right, we're going to add another 100 shares out there and sell them to generate money for the company. That's one way in which you can do it. It's called a share issue, right? Another way is to split the stock. So you can say that every share is now becoming 2. So if you've got 100 shares, no matter how they're distributed, this now become 200 shares. So if you had 50 before, you've now got 100. It's still 50%, but the number of shares you have has gone up. And that means that you can take some of it and sell it. So if each share is worth £1, afterwards, I think they're worth £1. You can sell half of them. You still got what you've initially invested, and now you've made yourself some money. But the way of actually pouring money in is very difficult. And ENIC, you've got to bear in mind, whatever the intricacies are, ENIC are in control.
Right? And Aaron, if you're watching out there and you want to join us. The link is in the chat comments. Aaron just sent me something through WhatsApp. He says that Levy owns 70.6% of ENIC, and Levy owns 29.4% of
something like that. It's around that figure. I mean, ultimately, look, you've got to bear in mind, first of all, there's some familial relationship between Levy and Lewis. I've forgotten what it is.
Oh yeah,
like fifth cousins or something.
Something like that. I think their dads were like really good friends and stuff as well. Because you've got to bear in mind, Levy, for those of you who lived in the UK, Mr. Byright, the old clothing store, that was the Levy family concern.
Yeah, that was shit clothes.
Guys, hold on.
The early warning signs.
Hold on for a while. Chris, you have to go, right?
Yeah, I've got to go and do my shopping, but yeah.
All right. And Chris, let us know where we can find you. Just give a shout out to your channel.
Yeah, first off, thanks so much for inviting me on again. It's Morrison's actually. Yeah, I'll be there for about the next half hour. But thanks Eugene for inviting me on. And Vez, I have to say I've done all these streams and fortunate enough to be invited onto loads of others, but this has been by far and away the most fascinating and interesting.
I appreciate that, Chris.
We are going, Chris. I hope you're listening, because next thing we're going to a more sensitive issue. Now we're talking. Now we're talking about the finances and all that, right? But as what Rez has been saying, it's not that easy to actually try to take over ENIC, because they are a private limited company. Okay. Even if you have even if now, let's say, unless the Saudis came in and wanted Spurs,
then it would still be difficult. If they were publicly traded, it would still be difficult. In order to take over majority shareholding, you would need to do a hostile takeover, unless they say, yeah, we're happy to sell to you.
Didn't you notice this, right? Just before the Newcastle take over, right? Levy went and said the club is worth 3.5 billion.
3.5 billion pounds.
Yeah. That's why it may be the same. And Adam, if you have to leave, thanks for being on. Right, Adam. And Adam, how do we find you, Adam? I don't think you have your own channel yet, but maybe one day.
I don't have my own channel yet.
Maybe we can find you on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Adam C, I think, or something like that. I have the same profile pic on Twitter as I do on YouTube anyway. So just type in Adam Clark into the search bar and you should be able to get it anyway. I'm also on all the other Tottenham fan channels on YouTube anyway. So odds are, if there's a Tottenham fan channel, no matter how many subscribers it has, whether it has like 100k or like just like 2, I'm there. Like,
yes, Adam is a good guy, and first time seeing his face live. Adam.
Cheers, Adam.
we all have this now. It has to be the trend to keep the winning streak.
Winning streak. Like.
Yeah, we need to
I'd
have
also
a
try
week,
and
right?
Eugene. I could also try and hop in afterwards as well, like later on
Yep,
if you want,
yep.
like, if you're
All
still on.
If I'm still on, all right.
Yeah, we'll see it. Like,
Okay.
I'll hop off.
Take
So
care.
thanks.
All right.
Brilliant.
Bye bye.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
Alex.
Bye.
And Chris.
Oh yeah, and thanks for the business class, Rez.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Today is supposed to be that all about financing.
Yeah. I'll start taking notes.
Yeah.
I'd see you so
That's good.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye bye.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off too, Eugene.
See you tomorrow, Chris.
Yeah, I'll see Brad tomorrow. I'm doing a quiz. Let's Talk Tottenham tomorrow. There's 6 people on there, I believe. And there's a prize, but no one knows what it is yet. It's not a share in Tottenham, so I won't get too excited. It's a Tottenham related prize.
It's why you going to Morrison's. It's a Tottenham Hotspur birthday cake.
Slightly better than that, I'd say. But yeah, Let's Talk Tottenham on YouTube, stream on Fridays, 12:30 p.m, Mondays, 8 p.m. At L Talk Tottenham on Twitter. You'll find all the information there. It's also available Apple, Spotify, some audio.
Can you do a Daigle for us as you leave?
What, have another rant?
No. You know, what did he order? Levy out.
Oh, yeah. I'll see if Levy out.
All right.
Okay,
take care. Catch up with you. All right. See you again later.
Mate. Take care.
Bye. Take care, mate. All right. Now let's get back to the finance part again. So that means you're saying that I now I understand. Yeah, I more or less do understand the structure of private limited companies and all that. And it's very weird, right?
One thing I would suggest, Eugene, don't think in terms of private limited company. Either think private company or limited company, because PLC is public limited company, and that's an actual acronym that they use. So it can make you get a little bit confused.
Because I'm trying to compare it with Malaysia. Malaysia more or less.
All companies will be limited companies.
In Malaysia is very in Malaysia is very weird. In Malaysia is very weird. You have your PLC, your public limited company, which is actually in the stock market. Then you have your private limited company, we call PT Ltd, right?
Yeah.
And then we do have limited companies too. There are 3 categories in Malaysia, right? And the weird thing about in Malaysia, right? I can be an owner of a private limited company, right? But I don't hold responsibility for it. The directors do.
Of course.
You see, the directors do. So at the moment now,
that's what the limited part is. It's known as limited liability. So if the
limited liability
goes under owing money, the individuals who own the company are not liable for that money.
But they have to find someone to be liable. That's why you have directors in the company.
Yeah, but even the directors aren't liable. Liable means that you have to pay the debt that the company owns.
For UK that you don't have to, but in Malaysia we have to now.
Right.
Because in Malaysia we changed the law because a lot of rich people
were it is
you heard of the shadow economy and all that kind of things, right? You understand that part, right? In Asia it's Southeast Asia is prevalent, right? When the normal economy doesn't run, the government usually lets the shadow economy runs.
Of course.
But
that's because the countries certainly in Southeast Asia and stuff like that are what they're doing is they're still developing into those sort of really highly developed intricate economic models that the United States and Europe basically originated with when it comes to sort of finance speculation, property speculation, and actual stuff like hedge funds, all of the stuff that were causing, the bubble, the credit crunch, and all of that stuff.
But Rez, to tell the truth, the Asian and Southeast Asian companies have actually perfected it.
But only because what happens when you've got that environment, you will always find people who are clever, and will find the cracks to insert themselves in. It's just
find ways to the loopholes and the things and all that you don't see.
This is what is happening with football right now. That's why I described it as a Wild West, because there are no rules, there's no regulations.
Like you were saying, it's the world, Rez. It's not just football.
But the thing is,
the world.
The way
now
it
seeps into football.
But the way that the cycle works is that you go back to the 1930s. The 1930s was like that. It was complete exploitation. Then we had the Second World War sort of helped crystallize what had happened. And then after the 1930s, after the Second World War, we had a more regulated economic system where there were far more rules to follow in order to protect people.
Yes.
And gradually those have been shorn away over time, which happens as well.
Do you know why?
Well,
because before Bretton Woods, before Bretton Woods, right? Before Bretton Woods, all currencies were linked and tied down to tangible assets like gold, silver, and
that was actually the case after
Bretton Woods.
Well,
after Bretton Woods, that's when they went crazy. And
but
it's been going crazy.
It still took time. It still took time, but it's not about currency speculation. It's not about currency speculation per se. Currency speculation has always happened. The issue here is that when you have is deregulated markets. The credit crunch came about not because this was always happening. It was because there were breaks. There were things that you couldn't do that were then removed from financial markets, which then allowed these I forgot what the structures were called, where you basically sandwiched debt into this big sort of cylinder and then sliced it off and sold it, which then caused Bear Stearns and I've forgotten who the other ones were. So many problems. It's lack of regulation that does it, and I'm not going to go into the politics of that because it's a political.
There will be another. There'll be a class for
but this is what
THST
football
finance
is right now. Football has no real regulation when it comes to the finances. There's loads of regulations about how to play the game, the rules that you can play, how you transfer players, but the finances are open, gaping. And clever people will come in and try to exploit that.
Take advantage of it. Take advantage of the system. But later, and to tell the truth, the finance part is interesting. Like I was saying,
but not that interesting. I think people are falling asleep.
No.
I know I am.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
No, it's just too much. It's so complex. You can't do it in one go anyway. Half the
you
things
can't do it in
said.
one show. But what we can only do is just scrape the tip of the iceberg. That's all. Scrape it. That's all. It's just
and even my education is far from complete. I've barely scratched the surface. So it's the long journey, long process to find all that.
Because when you were saying that, Tottenham Hotspur Limited is owned by ENIC, which is owned
Incorporated.
ENIC Sports Incorporated, which is owned by ENIC International Incorporated Limited, which is owned by Tavistock, which is broken down to this, and this. Right, then to tell the truth, you go and dig deeper. Tavistock most probably has to be broken down to don't know how many sections. Then the Levy's shares has to be broken down to how many sections, and you go crazy.
Not exactly. Tavistock Group is an unusual thing because it's not in and of itself incorporated. It's not a company.
It's a holding?
It's a portfolio.
Seriously?
So it's like if I had shares in British Gas.
That means it has
McDonald's.
That means it's not regulated at all. If it's a portfolio,
no, it isn't. There's nothing you can do to make Tavistock do anything, really, because
unless Lewis wants it to happen.
Unless Lewis wants to happen, essentially all it is a group of a block of shares in different companies that he happens to own in one place. They have a trading arm. They have something that does trading. But ultimately, it's just an investment portfolio, and that's what Levy is as well. Levy just owns shares and his family. It's not really. It's like Levy company.
It's like now the new owners of Newcastle, right? The Public Investment Fund, something
that's
like that, right?
The same thing. That's exactly what Tavistock Group is. They will just own bits or sometimes whole companies. They might own this company, a bit of that company. 50% of this company, 30% of that company.
As investments, as an investor and all that,
that's all they are.
So in the end of the day, Lewis is just an investor. That's why the problem, like you're saying, getting ENIC out, it's not going to
happen.
It's not going to be possible, right? But getting Levy out,
that's possible.
Because if we can show that Levy has been non-performing and mismanaging, and the board is unhappy with him, they can remove him.
Exactly.
But we cannot remove Levy as an ENIC shareholder.
As an owner, no, we can't get rid of him. But that doesn't mean that he can, if he still remains, if he's not on the board, he's just the owner. That does not necessarily mean he can influence us, because he won't be the whole point is not about him going as the chairman, it's about him going as the chief executive.
But we don't have a chief executive.
Yes, we do. It's Levy. He is the chief executive officer.
He's holding two positions.
Well, that's chairman, not a problem. Lots of people do that.
Oh, no wonder he gets paid so much then.
No, that's his.
He's
that's
doing
his
two
role.
jobs.
No. The salary. The salary is his salary as chief executive. A chairman will get only what's known as a stipend, which is a small amount of money just for a period.
For a period.
So no, he gets paid as a chief executive. He gets money because he's if there is a dividend, he will get money, which is that one dividend he paid out. He gave himself £6 million for completion of the stadium, I believe. I might be wrong. But yeah, a company's chief executive can be any manager. Yes, anyone who can be experience of it.
Yes, to run a club.
I did a Google search yesterday for CEO scandals, and I counted 6 different companies in the first page that had their CEO stand down or resign through scandal. So what happens when that guy goes? They get someone else.
So that means now that
but we can get Levy out.
That means to get Levy out, we can get him out as the CEO of THL, right? Yeah. But we can give him a non-executive chairman position.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. That will save him face. You're still the chairman, but you're non-executive, right? You don't make decisions.
Do what Ajax do. Ajax, for instance, have Edwin van der Sar as their CEO. President. President. Okay. So I think he's like the figurehead, at the head of the board or head of whatever structure they've got. And they've got Mark Overmars as their executive officer.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
but that will never happen in Spurs.
Why we can't have that.
That I don't think will ever happen in Spurs. That's a sad thing, right? Wow. Let's see what Wayne Bonner says. Wayne, hi Wayne. Loving the stream, fellas. You got to do a follow-up. Oh, we'll try. We'll try to dig more.
Come for break for things. So give myself a little break.
So how?
I am still here. I can hear you, but I'm just sort of.
Yeah. All right.
What we said earlier.
How do we solve the problem of not spending money on players and not rebuilding the team? If the takeover is not going to happen, how do we get around this? Because as I see it, there's no way around it. It's like we're stuck with this forever.
It has to be fan pressure.
Yeah,
that
means the protest. Protest. The fans have to show dissatisfaction. No, the problem is now, right? What I've seen in actual football now is that the owners don't care much about the fans in the stadium anymore.
No,
because number one, your broadcasting money, right, covers 10 times the amount of the fans spending the money in the stadium. That's number one. Your shirt sales, your merchandise selling covers more than to tell the truth, the fans are the one who are buying it in the stadium, 62,000 of them. But don't forget, you have 3 million fans in South Korea that buy one Son shirt. You see? And that overcomes that issue again. So now, when you talk about fan pressure, right, are you saying that, okay, if you do it in the sense that you show your dissatisfaction during a match, that will get you bad image publicity during live matches for the rest of the world to see? That might give him some pressure. But
that's the whole idea of the protest today is because it's the NFL, and the NFL is a worldwide thing, and the NFL are very conservative, as Brian Dager has said many times. They're a very conservative organisation, and they won't want to see their brand have any trouble. So if they see a protest outside, it's like, hang on, Mr. Levy, what's this all about?
Yes.
Let's see.
And stuff like dragging the likes of Joe Lewis into the limelight a little bit. He hates it there. He's a recluse. So sing songs at the stadium about Joe Lewis.
This
is like what we get. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but certainly over here in the UK, there's a lot of talk radio. The notorious one is Talk Sport. And what happens is
that's how I listen to my matches half the time. As long as
there you go.
Because of regional restrictions, this broadcast cannot be given.
But TalkSport is the forum for fans to call in, and essentially what they do is they rant, and that's perfectly understandable. We know why they do it. It's fair. But if we apply a little bit of sort of smarts to it, go on there onto someone like TalkSport, and instead of ranting about something, ask the likes of Simon Jordan, Jim White, Jason Cundy, ask them questions.
Intelligent questions.
Yeah, stuff like, why is it that Spurs have got the lowest wages to turnover ratio in the Premier League? And put the conversation on your footing.
Yeah, I would ask Jason Cundy that. I would ask Jason Cundy that.
Yeah, he would probably scratch under his armpits and go and have a banana. But when we as fans, we've got to be far more canny and sly about the way that we do things. The protests are fantastic, but it shouldn't. We shouldn't be shouting "Levy is a XXXX."
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
Right?
And that's right.
Too late.
He has to be intelligent, organized.
Because people will look at that and say, "What a bunch of gorillas! Why should I listen to them?" It should be make leaflets with these questions on it. Why is Levy's thing? Why is he doing this? And give it to people who might not necessarily be already convinced, because a protest is not about convincing yourself. It's that whole thing we were talking about earlier about the racism thing. You're not there to convince people who already agree with you. You're there to convince people that don't agree with you or don't know what you're saying. Speak to your supporters clubs, send the message, get them thinking about what's happening at this club that we all adore. We love this club. Why do we love this club? So speak to them about why we should love it, how we can express that love. The love that we want to express is that we want it to do well. If we've got a chairman who isn't doing that, we need to know why and think about it and find ways of putting pressure on, is my view.
Actually, we shouldn't call him the chairman anymore. We should call him the CEO. Yeah, because the chairman, he's both. That's why I see. But I think as the CEO, right, you actually have more executive powers as a chairman. Usually, a chairman is just an honorary position for someone who is given,
He is the person who presides over the board, essentially. So he sets the direction of travel overall, because he is the one that basically sets the agenda and determines how things are discussed and operated. CO, this Chief Operating Officer.
And okay, Res, let's hold on for a while. Soham, nice to see you again. Any input on this, that what we are talking about?
No, not much really, to be honest.
Where's
Because
the cat?
Again?
Where's the cat? Remember the cat theory.
One is sleeping over here. All right, I don't think I can show you. Okay, I can show you.
There he is.
There he is. There he is. The other two are playing outside. Yeah.
Lucky you didn't use the other word, Jamie.
Excuse me.
Come on, Eugene. Come on, Eugene. Cut him some slack. He just came back from a fight with Deontay Wilder. He's probably a bit shook up.
And Prithvi, any input from you on all this about the finance before we go to the next subject, which is also is quite sensitive, and I'm trying to understand.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, thanks a lot, Rez, for that very informative sesh. I think. I mean, based off what Rez has told and what I understood so far, I think the whole ENIC out situation is impossible. And if that's the case, then I don't really think we have much choice but to wait for the 55 years or whatever that
before we win something.
Halley's comment might come first.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with having ENIC as owners. Nothing.
Yeah.
Really nothing. As long as they operate properly.
Yes, correct. And the thing is that if you do,
the only thing is that there might be another way out of this. I'm now seeing. I'm actually googling some stuff, and there might actually be another way out of this. Joe Louis is 84 years old.
No,
just saying. Just saying. Just saying.
No, but the shares will go to his daughter. You know, who
his
actually
son or
loves
daughter,
the club.
whoever is there, yeah.
Who actually loves the club and is a fan of the club. You see, but no,
If they're really a fan of the club, then they probably don't like Uncle Levy as much.
Yeah, don't go there, so.
They probably don't like Uncle Levy as much.
Yeah,
but remember,
I'm saying
rich people generally live a long time.
Yeah, that's the sad part. Look at our ex Prime Minister of Malaysia, 92 years old when he stepped up 2 years ago, and he's still fighting for it. I'm God.
Well, look at Rupert Murdoch.
Go to sleep.
Beelzebub himself.
But Rez, one question, right?
So I'm just trying to see on the protest on Twitter, but I can't find anything. Sorry, go on.
No, if we do get Levy out, right, would Enix start to want to move in a different direction?
No, I don't think so. Why should they?
I don't think so. Yeah.
They've got a very valuable asset. It's doing what it does for them. There's no reason for them to think it is just Levy is unusual in having a chief executive officer or and whatever it's the chief thing, or say top manager who's been in a corporate role, in the same corporate role for so long. Most CEOs move on. They've got a career, you know. And again, this shows a less. It demonstrates that he lacks suitability, because all he's doing is basically running the same company for all this time.
Nobody else would want to hire him then.
Well, no. I mean, again, we laugh about it, but yeah, who's going to want him? He's 58 years old, and he's got experience in one. Well, he's had some experience before, but he took over the club at the age of 37.
Yeah,
that's very young for. That's your entry level CEO job. You sort of, that's where you start. You should really be. At 37, you'll be in the sort of vice president realm, looking to take your first CEO position at somewhere relatively small and making your name for yourself.
Then move up to the next step.
Now he's 58. At 58, your corporate leader is running a bigger, enterprise.
No, 58, like Bill Gates, he retired already. He doesn't even run the company anymore, right?
I mean, to be honest, Tottenham Hotspur right now are a much bigger club than what it was when he came in. So in a way, he does have a much bigger job now than he had at his hand when he came in.
But does he?
Why not?
That's
because what he's doing, just because the stadium's bigger, doesn't change anything about the manner in which the club operates.
Okay.
Everything that Spurs does
operandi,
we're doing.
See, the modus operandi doesn't change, but here's the thing: I can't talk about you. I can't talk about what's the scene in UK, but at least as someone living in India, no one knew what a Tottenham Hotspur was back in 2003. Pretty much every football fan knows what Tottenham Hotspur is right now.
Fair enough, but that's still because of who the club are. That a lot of that will have come from luck as well. We lucked out to get to not in terms of our performance. We lucked out in the environment that existed that allowed us to get to the Champions League final. Right? We had a manager that was young, hungry, and was perfectly fitted to the club. We had a group of players that were young and hungry and hadn't had the belief knocked out of them yet. We had the two financially doped clubs in the Premier League in Chelsea and Man City. Chelsea were trying to rediscover themselves after Mourinho, and Man City still hadn't built the machine, the juggernaut that they have now. All of that coalesced that allowed us enough space to use the talent that we did have to get to a Champions League final. That's not necessarily because of Levy.
Of course, it's not because of Levy. That's not the point I'm trying to make. My thing is, if you look at Spurs as a business or as an enterprise compared to what it was back when it took over, where it is now, it's way bigger. It's way bigger now.
How do you define big? Define big. That's the key.
Yeah.
We're talking about the management by an individual of a corporate entity. he might have done things that have allowed that thing to happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he is something special. Any chief executive could have done that.
We got lucky with Pochettino, didn't we?
No, it's not that.
It's
just that the problem. I think what happened is that the EPL boomed when the Asian market came in, and he just rode on that wave. That's
rode
all.
on the wave. Yeah. And that speaks to someone who has some talent in that, but it's not about, you know, I don't want to take away credit for what he's done, because unlike a lot of people who will not give him any credit, I do give him credit for the things that he does do. He is incredibly hardworking, right? He is a perfectionist, right? He is committed to the path that he chooses, right? None of those things are bad qualities. Unfortunately, this is why I don't say Levy out because he's Enoch. I say Levy out because he's not prioritizing the thing that I would like to see and most fans would like to see when it comes to their club, which is a concentration on footballing priorities. If he did that, if he turned around and said, you know what, I'm not going to involve myself in transfers, I'm not going to do anything with regard to the footballing side of things, I'm going to leave that completely to my technical director, managing director of football, whatever you want to call it, and step back from that, I would be his biggest supporter. True. I would say thank you, Daniel Levy, for all the hard work you've put in to build the stadium. Thank you for the training ground. Thank you for the fact that we are now a bigger club than we were when you took over in terms of revenues and all of that stuff. And thank you for giving football people the head that they need to do football, because that's all I want. Right?
Completely agree.
It's not Levy out because I don't like Levy. It's Levy out because I don't like the way he operates.
The football side.
Okay, just on a speculation here. If Enoch is hard or maybe impossible to move, what kind of CEO or COO, or do you even have any names as to the sort of candidates that we should be looking at to replace Levy with?
It depends on what the structure is. If we want a chief executive who will only look after the corporate side of things and has no involvement in football, then Levy's fine. If you want someone who will run the football side of things, I'm not 100% convinced by Paratici yet. You know, if he was a bit younger, he's a bit old now. I wish he was so much younger. But the person that I would love to see in charge of footballing side of things at Spurs would be Steve Perryman.
Steve Perryman.
Because of the things he did with Exeter, you know, as their sort of football board. But it could be anyone. There are so many football experts out there. You've got to look at the structure of the executive board at Spurs. We've got Daniel Levy, Rebecca Capelhorn, Matthew Collicott, John Turner, and there's one other, right?
Darren Eales.
No, not anymore. No. That's the executive board. It's the executive board. And
executive board. Right.
Football side, if they're on the board, which I think they are, but I'm not sure, you've got Paratici and Steve Hitchin.
Yeah.
7 of them. The way around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. Right. Guys, are we satisfied with the finance part? Because I mean, we can go on forever on this subject.
Yeah.
Some of us could.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
By the way.
I'm sorry to dominate the conversation, guys. I really am. I apologize.
No. I invited you on today, right, for you to do this. So for us to learn.
A jobman's holiday for Eugene. Eugene's loving it.
Yeah. So for me to learn more about the club structure and for me to figure a way out, for me to figure a way in. You get what I'm saying?
That's why I got the whiteboard.
If you understand the finance of all this, right, and if we can investigate and dig deep enough and find their misdoing, right, and then we will have a way in. You see, but at the moment now, like what Rez is saying, it's being covered over by layers and layers and layers of red tape and documents and all kinds of malarkey that's going on. And
Why is it like
number one is misinformation.
Yeah. But you've got to bear in mind, we're simple people.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
As fans.
Yeah.
We're simple. We just want to go and watch our club and have fun doing it.
And watch good football. Yeah. Watch good
and
football.
They feed us stuff like Jack Grealish cost 100 million. No, he didn't. It's not as simple as that. We can't consume anything more detailed than that because we're not that interested. It's only when things go wrong that we become interested. You know?
Yeah, that's true. When everything is hunky dory and fine, nobody cares. That's why no one will care because you'll be enjoying your football. You know, those fans who are international fans will be enjoying the football at home. The local fans will be enjoying the football in the stadium, right? And nobody will care, and everybody will be happy. We were winning 2 or 3 cups for every 2 or 3 seasons, right? Fighting for the Premier League. Nobody will care, right? But the problem for 20 years, we haven't been doing this. The only time we came close was in the 16-17 time, or was it 15-16 during the Leicester win?
It was actually the 2 years that we were the best in the country.
Yeah, right. And at that part, we didn't push forward, and that's when the fans started to be disgruntled. Why don't you push forward, right? But coming to that, I think we should stop all the finance talk. But let's go to another part of the thing. That's why I brought Soham has just dropped out. That's why bringing Rez in. I want to learn more about this subject, right?
If I may ask, Rez, if I may ask, Rez, it's been absolutely fascinating listening to you. What was your background in this? It's just
I'm a government administrator. I'm a civil servant.
So,
I've worked on legislation
in
the past as part of my job. So when it comes to understanding law, I'm not a lawyer, but because I've seen it built and have helped build it myself, I can look at legislation and understand it because I've worked. It's like a mechanic, you know. If you give a mechanic after a while, they sort of understand the nuts and bolts.
And just a big up to Craig Bowler, right? On a positive note, the NFL event looks amazing.
Yes,
it will be a huge for Spurs branding in America. Yep, hopefully it does. But the only sad part is that a lot of Spurs
just had a big flyover. Whoops.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm saying
get a swatter.
Bees, flies, all kinds of airborne insects.
Actually, it's quite fascinating that the day to flyover. Normally, I live in Ealing, which is I don't know, 10 miles, 50 miles away. You normally hear the planes when they have a flyover, but I didn't hear them today.
Interesting. Electric plane.
It could be a drone. It could be a drone inside the bowl of the stadium, actually.
Yeah. For all you know why? Because we are supposed to be a zero carbon kind of thing going on.
That was just the Chelsea game.
That was just the Chelsea game, yeah.
Well, that was zero caffeine, not zero carbon.
Zero caffeine. And the next subject I'm looking is to learning more about the THST, the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, because that is a very interesting subject because a lot of misunderstanding about what the trust do, and a lot of hate has been pointed towards the trust, right? I just want to get some clarification and understanding. You see, even I myself was thinking like in that sort of a way until one of the channels which I saw Rez speak on Shelf Like Spurs is that it opened up my mind a bit to have a little bit more understanding and try not to hate something that you don't understand. So Rez, I'm sorry to say the mic is yours again. I'm sorry, Rez. But I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you're enjoying this. Right?
I'll do my best. I'll do my best to try and keep it brief. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust was set up by a group of supporters who basically wanted to help other supporters with any problems they might have in attending Tottenham Hotspur games. It wasn't set up by the club. It's completely independent. It's not funded by the club. It's not organized by the club. It's not supported by the club in any way. The way that it's funded is from its members. When you join, you pay £10.
Yes,
and that's how they fund themselves.
Is it £10 per annum or £10 one time?
No, £10. Just £10 once.
Yeah,
right? And that's it. Or I think there are different levels. I think you've got £10 and there's a £15 one for something else.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what it is. I paid £10 when I joined.
Okay. And you were saying,
yeah, and they started, in actual fact, the main thing that they concentrated on when they first started was helping disabled fans. So at the old White Hart Lane, there were one or two fans with disabilities had issues accessing the stadium and accessing matches, and the Supporters Trust acted as the sort of dialogue or the go-between between the individual fans and the club to help, improve facilities for fans with disabilities. Then there was other work they did with regard to certain fans that were banned for whatever reason, or had their season tickets taken away. A lot of the time because of stuff that they hadn't done, or stuff that wasn't, you can't really punish somebody for. And so the trust acted as the sort of means of communication between those supporters and the club to help get them reinstated. And because it's the only fan organization, and there's a lot of them around, every supporters club is a fan organization, really. Because they were the only one that had a sort of constituted structure with, a board and elections, and the board are all democratically elected. They all stand for election, and they're all volunteers. They're not paid to do it. They sort of seem to not fall into, but they became the channel of communication, an official channel of communication between supporters and the club.
Okay.
And for me, I don't, some of the things that have been said about the trust, especially recently, are very, very, in my view, unfair and unwarranted.
I understand. Yes.
So, for instance, when the ESL stuff broke, and the club refused to meet with the board, a lot of people were banging, smacking the Supporters Trust around the head with that, saying, "Why didn't you meet with them? Why you?" And like now saying we want a meeting, and Levy turning them down and saying, "Well, what do you expect? They refused to meet with him in the summer." And it's like, no, the club said that they would meet with the trust informally, so no record would be kept. Whereas every other meeting before, there had been minutes taken. Why would Levy want to meet with them informally? Why would he not want a record kept? It's because he didn't want to be held down to statements that he'd made in the past. Statements like, which is recorded in a previous meeting, Daniel Levy maintains that spending does not correlate with winning. Okay.
What?
He doesn't believe that spending money relates to how successful
winning games. Come on, he must be in a different world, right?
Thing is spending. That sentence kind of incomplete. It's spending money wisely that leads to winning. But thing is, neither we're spending money nor are we doing it wisely. So yeah.
No, we are spending money according to Levy, right? He did come out with a statement during the last game in the program of last season. He did come out with a statement, right? Because the fan base was harping on him or not spending money, right? He did admit himself, right? The club misspent £250 million on buying players, right? If you come out and admit something like that,
not exactly like that. He said we'd spent £250 million on players, but
the word misspent
focus properly on
the word misspent. The misspent was there. Rest, if I'm not mistaken, I read it over a few times and I broke it down.
If it's there, then
it was there. That's why. No, that's why.
That doesn't sound like Levy. That's why I'm asking this question.
The problem is that the thing is that I do not know who wrote that he doesn't write his own shit.
That would have been Donna Cullen. Okay? That's the other member of the executive board I'd forgotten. Donna
Cullen. He doesn't write his own shit. Somebody must have written this shit for him and printed it out, and he just put his name at the bottom. But when you put misspent $250 million on buying players, right? Where is the accountability? Where is the transparency? Right? So the problem with me towards Levy, right? If you are at least honest and transparent in what you do, right? And instead of all the smoke and mirrors and all that, I more or less can accept what you're doing. But the problem is that you don't hold, if you say someone misspent, Is it you? Is it Hitchin? Or was it another group of people who misspent that money? And that was within about 2 or 3 years. That's what he's talking about. When we bought Ndombele, when we paid for Lo Celso and all that. So, and for all we know, really, we spent 60 million pounds on Ndombele. It's a big misspent. All right. We feel that way now because he's not performing. Okay. But there is no accountability to it. The club has not said that, okay, we've misspent this amount of money. Someone has been removed from his position. No. At that point when Paratici came in, we thought Hitchin would get the boot. Right? But now we see Paratici and Hitchin working together. So that gives me another weird feeling there. But coming back to the THST, I think a lot of the other fans feel, because number one, the THST has only about 30,000 members.
Something like that.
Something like that, right? And it's not a big amount of people, right? And at one time you were saying on Johnny's channel, you were saying something like the name of the trust is wrong, because when you put the word trust there, a lot of people.
No, I think people misunderstand. Thinking that because they think it's directly connected to the club.
But
there's no other name you can really give it, because it is about an assistance given to a group,
supporters,
which is what a trust is.
And if I'm not mistaken, the supporters trust should be registered not as a company; it should be registered as a society, like in Malaysia.
There's no registration. There's no registration required. They're just a group. No, you don't need to. I mean, listen, if I band together,
no. You see, I'm just comparing my Malaysian side of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I want, because to tell the truth, I thought of starting an international Tottenham Hotspur supporters trust in Malaysia. Mm-hmm. Then I went to my lawyers. My lawyer says that we have to register this under the ROS. In Malaysia, we've got something called the Register of Societies, because this is considered as a society. Then my lawyer said that you will never get to use the name Tottenham Hotspur, because you will have to get an official approval from the club before you start this.
That's if you
in Malaysia
laws, if you've got laws that require you to set up something legally, you can't use it. It's their copyright.
I can't just use it. Yes.
In the United Kingdom, you don't have to register a society. It's only if you want to make money that you have to register a society, and that's in terms of being profit. You can set up a charity. If you set up a charity, you can't use the name. If you set up just a group, I can, as I say, I can meet with the five of you guys and we can form a group in this country, no problems.
Yeah, but okay, Rez, my question is that, right? Then who regulates the trust then?
The board.
You regulate yourself?
It's board, yeah, like any company. I mean, I'm not saying they are a company, but who regulates Tottenham Hotspur? Who regulates McDonald's? Who regulates
So that means you regulate yourself, right? And
you're saying that under the law.
Under what law?
The law of the
company's
law?
law
of the UK.
Under which?
Whatever. All laws apply to all things. So,
I understand that.
It doesn't have to necessarily be company or corporate law.
It's not regulated under a specific set of laws.
No.
Okay. All right.
No,
it's like your company law. You have to be regulated under a specific set of laws. That means the THST is not regulated under a specific set of laws. All right.
No.
It's not like in Malaysia here. We have to.
It doesn't trade. It's not a trading operation.
Okay.
It's not there to make profit.
And another question is that you're saying that how do you guys generate funds then to do things? The membership? No. Come on. You just take one-time payment of £10, right? Mm-hmm. That's not going to last you 20 years.
There'll be fundraising.
Oh, then you do fundraisers.
People donate.
You do fundraisers, you do donations and all that. All right. Yeah. Okay.
I've not seen a fundraising drive, but I'm sure that people donate. I can donate now. I can just go. I've paid my £10, but I can still donate more if I want.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to figure out how does it operate in the UK, the trust and all that, right? But I do understand that a lot of the international fan base outside of UK, right? When they want to do tours and all that to Tottenham Hotspur itself, they usually link up with the THST, and the THST will do all the things for them, arrange their stay, their stadium tours.
Because they're serving the fans. They're not serving the club.
Yeah, not serving the club, yeah. But that money in the end also goes back to the club or to the trust.
I know that, I mean, Spurs do charge for their tours like all clubs do, so it would probably just be a case of the trust will buy the tickets on behalf of the people internationally who are coming, because they won't necessarily have the right currency, and then they will arrange something with the people that are coming. There's no profit driven agenda there. There's no thing where the trust and the club work hand in hand for, you know,
make money
of each other, right? The trust's only objective is always to serve the supporters. That's why. And so this is the cognitive dissonance I see. This one, I love this one. I absolutely adore this one, right? People turning around and saying, oh, they're just a mouthpiece for the club. That's why Levy doesn't want to meet with them. What?
Right. No, to tell the truth,
he would love to meet with them.
No, to tell the truth, right? That day when the statement came out that Levy doesn't want to meet with the THST, right? I went on the Chris channel and said that that's Levy's prerogative, because Levy don't have to meet with the trust.
No, he doesn't have to. Of course he doesn't.
Yeah, it's his prerogative, because number one, the trust is not even a shareholder. None, unless you're saying.
But the trust have never said that he has to. The trust have never maintained that he is required to meet with them. He's saying, if you are a decent person, and if you have the the supporters' interests really at heart, you would meet with us. It says more about him that he doesn't meet with them than it does about them. It's not about whether or not there's a requirement. Any person of goodwill would do it. If I was the chairman of a club and there was a properly organized group that I could talk to the supporters through, and I had my club's best interests at heart, my supporters' best interests at heart, I would love to meet with them. Why doesn't Levy want to talk to his the club supporters? That's the genuine question. It's not about whether it's the supporters' trust. It could be anyone.
Yeah, tell the truth. Yeah. That's true. And of course, the other part is that, of course, the trust has already about 30,000 members there, right? They are not that active in the protests. That's a question on that.
No one is. No one is.
And to tell the truth, no one is, right? Not many people are.
Spurs have got, let's say we had 50,000 odd fans. I mean, I don't know what the allocation was for Villa on last Sunday, but let's say 50,000 people turned up to the stadium. It wasn't just the 30 or 40 of us by the banner that are Levy out. You know, it'll be thousands.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah, I was there on Sunday. Yeah. I couldn't make today, unfortunately, because I was coming on the channel.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
But the you know, not everyone is a joiner, and expecting people to be joiners is unrealistic, because it will only be one thing out of the hundreds in their lives. They've got kids, they've got jobs, they've got shopping, housemates, they've got so many problems.
Other things,
just one. And they're not all going to stand up and shout. They might support your view, and that's valuable as hell, but they're not all going to start shouting about it, because they're busy. They've got other things to think about.
Life goes on. Right,
Absolutely.
That's true.
So it's not, you might have 20,000 people. They've already given their support. They've paid some money. They've joined. Joining is good. Activity is also good, but you're not going to get every joiner. Is not going to be an activist.
I joined. I've joined as an international member.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's great.
But, I'll tell you the story later. I'll tell you another story later. I've joined as an international member, but the thing is that, shouldn't the trust at least go out and try to get more members to join?
They do as much as they can, but that costs money as well. They have limited resources. They can't, you know, how do they go about getting more members? Again, that's another accusation I've seen. Why don't they go onto the forums? And it's like, for what reason? They're there. If you want to join, you're free to, but they can't spend however much money. Let's say they had 330,000 members, each paid a tenner. That's 300 grand. That's not a lot of money. It disappears very quickly. You know,
that's what I'm saying. It's not a lot of money. You got 30,000 members, 10 quid a member is 300,000 grand. And imagine the trust is at least 20 years old now, if you're not mistaken. It started in 2001, now it's 2021, it's 20 years old. That money would have been gone within less than 2 or 3 months.
They didn't get it all in one go. They've got it in dribs and drabs over the years, you know. I said they're all volunteers.
That's true.
They organise some events as well, don't they? Because
that's another way. Yeah.
I went to one about 2 or 3 years ago. They had Alistair Gold, Ben Pearce, and Tom Colomosi, all journalists talking about Tottenham, and it's really good. It's worth going to. Really good. And I think they charged £15 or something. Ironically, more than what the membership was, but that was a really good night. Yeah.
But I mean, you know what? There was David Ginola did an event a couple of days ago.
Friday night,
I went on there to see how much the tickets were. The cheapest one was £76. The most expensive, I shit you not, was £1,621.87, and there were none available.
Oh, really? That was probably because you could get a signed photograph with him or something like that for the more money you pay or whatever. It was like
Brian was telling me Brian was telling me this story during that event. They were supposed to look for a place to smoke, right? So they thought they had to move quite far away, but then in the end they found one of the servers or something. They said, no, you just go down to that area there, somewhere near the smoke. So while Brian and Danny was there having a smoke, guess who walked in to have a smoke? David Ginola.
Really?
Wow. And he still smokes, you know.
Wow.
And he was on stage talking about, you know, the old days, you know, when we used to play, we used to smoke, we used to drink, right? Naudays you can't do that anymore. Yeah, and he walked in on that. Yeah, that was brilliant. Brian was so happy.
Australian rules football. They have obviously have a half time, but they also have a quarter time and a three-quarter time. And in that time, the players remain on the pitch and the coach comes on and talks to them. The three-quarter time, when they sit down, and there was because it's filmed by the TV channel, there was one where one of the footballers is having a cigarette at three-quarter time.
and guys out there, if you're watching later, right, or live, right, guys, remember, smoking is bad for your health, right? I do it, Wes does it, right? But please don't follow us.
Yes.
I have to put in a disclaimer first before this, right? Smoking is bad for your health, kids.
Smoking is terrible for you. It's a terrible.
It's a terrible habit, right? And it wastes money and all that. But too bad we are stuck with it. I'm 50 over years, so I don't care. Rest. It's so good. It's so good to learn about the trust and to understand more, right? Because I think the trust now is getting a lot of bad flack on what's been happening for the past 2-3 months, right? From the ESL and now, right? And sometimes the statements coming out from the trust seems a bit overboard during the ESL time, you know, asking for Levy to resign, which we know he won't, right?
But the other thing, that's actually, I'm glad you raised that, Eugene. This is the other one. There's the other accusation that they're saying, as if asking for people to resign is some kind of sin. Really? So when an MP resigns over some scandal, when a CEO resigns over some scandal, are you saying those of you who say that it's wrong of them to ask for the board to resign, are you saying that those MPs, those CEOs, all those people that resign in scandal should have been kept in their positions? Put the two together. If you think that asking for Levy and the board to resign is a bad thing, then you are also saying that asking any MP, any CEO, any person of influence who has done something wrong to resign is also wrong. Right?
No, that's asking for Levy to resign, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a correct thing, right? But we didn't know actually in the end the trust had no power at all.
No, they don't.
They don't. So what statements they put out, right, to try to force the thing is kudos to them, right? But before that, big up to Steven. Steven is an Arsenal fan. He's on my channel today. I did a Formula One watch along qualifying with him yesterday, and don't tell me who won, Steven. I haven't watched the Formula One yet because I'm doing the stream now.
A car one.
A car one. Yes, just tell me some car one. All right. Big up Adam. Yeah, Adam is here too. Steven, chatting Steven. Yes. So what I'm saying is now, like, most of the supporters trust out there are more or less like what we are. But like what happened with Newcastle is that their supporters trust went on like a 10-year journey to try to get Ashley out. Actually a 10-year journey, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or even more, right? And at last they've succeeded and they've got new owners in. To tell the truth, I'm happy for them, right? No matter what happened, Ashley's out. Now they're going to get super rich owners and they're going to get a lot of smoke and mirrors. They're going to get a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's part of the deal, right? It's part of the deal. Yeah, it's part of their deal. So hopefully they can survive it, right? And big up to you guys in the Newcastle fans and all that, and best of luck to you guys. Right?
Apparently they've got their Newcastle back, because it's actually true. Newcastle is known to have been an epicenter of severe and flagrant human rights violations throughout history.
Oh, come on, Rest. Don't rub it in. Don't rub it in. Let them bask in their glory for a while, okay? Maybe the next 2-3 years. Hey,
listen, when I see a Newcastle fan dancing in a kafia, you know, I worry for the state of humanity.
No, but guys.
No, I really want to know. Now the Saudis in charge. If Joelinton keeps missing goals like this, will he be subject to an execution?
Well,
will he be subject to a beheading?
I saw a very, very attractive striped burqa, which is, I think, what the Newcastle women's team are going to be wearing next season.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Right. But
it's going to switch the camera off for a bit. Carry on.
Yeah. It doesn't guarantee them success. That's one thing, guys. Still, you must have to remember, it still doesn't guarantee success. How much money you have, but not instant success, right? It might take them some time to get their success, but by the time they get their success, maybe the Newcastle fans will wake up. Maybe, right? Or January transfer window, they'll buy Son Heung-min, they'll buy Harry Kane, they'll buy Mbappe, and then we'll see. Better not, right? Son, you better not go to Newcastle, right?
They've got to sack Steve Bruce first. Can you imagine those three managed by Steve Bruce?
But Rest. Sometimes I don't like to hit on Steve Bruce so much, right?
No. I don't either. I'm just
I know, because I pity him. You can say that.
So do I. He's going to be out of a job.
I really pity him. Yeah, he has such a shitty job, right? Yeah. But at least his manager is honest with him. No, sorry. At least his owner is honest with him, right? The owner will tell him straight right front. Okay, this season, this season, you're not getting any money to buy any players, so just shut up and deal with it.
You're absolutely right. Steve Bruce, I do feel very sorry, because on the one hand, he's got the Newcastle fans who are not very supportive of him. And then on the other side, he's got to probably have, I don't know, weekly meetings with that sweaty blob of blubber, every week as well. Not to be personal about Mike Ashley, but he is the human equivalent of an unpopped zit.
Jabba the Hutt.
I do believe he was a Tottenham fan.
Jabba the Hutt, right?
Yeah, right. I'd rather he wasn't.
Yeah.
Who's a Tottenham fan? Who's a Tottenham fan?
I think Mike Ashley's a Tottenham fan,
Apparently.
Ashley's a Tottenham fan?
Yeah.
Apparently, that's what people have said, in the past.
So was Roy Keane, so
Yeah. So was Robbie Keane before he went to Liverpool.
Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane famously was Liverpool, Leeds, Coventry, Inter Milan, and
guys,
the boy.
guys, don't forget about Tomiyasu.
No. Listen,
don't forget about Tomiyasu.
I've got nothing but love for Robbie Keane. Okay, I really.
Me too.
Yeah, Robbie Keane,
one of my favorite players.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Hey, guys, at least he got to win a cup with us.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And that was, that was brilliant. I was up Wembley that day, and he got substituted before the end. And I just remember when the final whistle went, he was running on the pitch. Brilliant.
Yeah. At least he got win. That's why sometimes I pity Kane. That's why, you see. That's why I pity Kane too. But it is what it is, right? We can't. Yeah. And of course, Stephen says, thanks for talking. Yes.
To be fair,
you know what, Stephen? You know what? You're welcome.
Well, I'll tell you, if Emerson Royal plays like he did last week against Villa every game, I think we got the better deal. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And guys, since we've touched on the THST, and actually the THST is a part that intrigued me a lot. I want to learn more about these guys. Maybe with Res there letting us know what is happening inside the THST and all that.
Invite them. Invite them. Invite one of the board. I'm sure they'll be happy to come and talk
because they've got their own. They've got their own YouTube channel as well. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, I'm sure they'd be happy. Martin Cloak is one of them. I've forgotten all the names of the board, but you know, Martin Cloak is a Spurs writer. He's written about Spurs a lot. You know, he's a journalist. You know, I'm sure someone like him would be more than happy to come and appear and actually talk directly. I'm talking on their behalf, but you know, he will know.
That's right.
The ins and outs far better than me.
That's why if you know them, right? Maybe one of these, but of course not on my channel, right? I'm too small to do this. Maybe on one of the bigger channels, maybe get them on maybe on We Are Tottenham, The Boys, or something like that. Then you know, let them have a say, you know, because they've been vilified for too long. You see, and sometimes, like I said, that people will vilify something too easily, and especially nowadays with social media going on. Everybody would just jump onto the bandwagon, you know. Someone's already thrown one stone, right? We must all just throw stones at them.
And exactly.
Right? So if I don't know, maybe one of these days we can reach out further to the trust, right? I mean, if they want to come onto my channel to speak with you along and whoever, I'm very I'm welcome to it. But for me, my channel, you know, it's too small. Maybe they might not want to.
If you don't ask, you don't get, Eugene.
That's true. But how can I ask through you?
Well, I'm just an ordinary member, but you know, you go on their website. There'll be a contact page there.
There you go. That's me and Tom Huddleston.
Nice.
Young Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust Young Player of the Year 2007. I'm a member of the trust. I went into a raffle, and the winning prize was that you'd get to present the trophy on the pitch. So,
fantastic.
Nice.
God, Tom Huddleston, he had a shot like a bullet, didn't he? Oh,
and a big up to my clothing actually, because I've still got that jacket, and it's still it's still as good as it was when I bought it. It's a Tommy Hilfiger jacket,
Tommy Hilfiger.
And I've had that. Well, I went out in it last night, so yeah.
Okay. Guys, Soham, all right, I'll just go around one time, and before we do our closing, we've been sitting here for more or less 2 hours and 45 minutes or so, and I've been sitting here longer than that because doing all the works and all that. Res, you don't have your own channel.
No.
But usually, how do we find you? Do you have a Twitter handle or something?
I do. I don't really do Twitter much anymore.
Because, how do I keep in touch with you?
You can speak to Jens's thing. I'll ask him to pass my number on, and you can contact me via WhatsApp. No problem. But yeah, I'm usually on Shelfside Spurs. Shelfside Spurs. Shelfside Spurs. You can search on YouTube.
Shelfside Spur was when the COVID restrictions were tighter.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Shelfside Spurs is the channel that I appear on, with thanks to LJ and the lads on that. But
okay, hold on, Rest. You keep calling him LJ. What does LJ?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I've called him LJ, Johnny J.
LJ, Johnny J.
Yeah,
what's L for that?
Yeah, but yeah, you know, I'm on there. Once a week generally we podcast. If there's no European game, it's usually a Thursday from 7:30. If there's a European game, usually Friday 7:30 BS. That's GMT. Drop in. We got a quiz, and we're actually looking for people to beat
I don't do quiz
because we do a quiz at the end, and Jens is basically unbeaten, right?
Even Brian didn't beat him.
No,
the last time Brian lost. Oh
yeah.
There was You
You
kept upping the points for the last 25,
because it was just
and he still couldn't catch up.
And he still couldn't catch up. No. I mean, that's the thing. It's a lot of us. We're not convinced, but we think there must be like a whiteboard or something in his living room. But he's shown us his living room, and it's a mess. But there's no whiteboard, so it's all coming from his brain. It is, you know. So we need someone to see if we can beat Jens, you know, just for the fun factor of it. But come on, we do a couple of hours generally. it's a lot of fun. You know, they're serious. I'm known for my rants. So there's Rez's rant. There you go.
Oh, Jens. Hi, Jens.
Hey, Jens. How you doing, buddy?
If you're free, you want to hop on, you hop on.
Yeah.
Little John.
Yeah.
So,
Little Johnny.
yeah.
Okay.
We do a couple of ads. You know, I've got my rant a lot of
Yeah.
the time on there. So, you know, I sort of had Rez's rant. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So do tune in, do subscribe and like and stuff. So search for Shelfside Spurs. And yeah, any support you guys give us would be really, really appreciated, you know, because we're still at quite a small channel.
Yeah, good guy, yeah. And it's a good show. Johnny's a good guy too. Right? Jens.
What's he saying now? Hey, oh, no, it's Adam.
Adam's back. Yeah, Adam, we were just doing our closing. But no,
Adam comes on to Shelfside Spurs a lot. We've seen him on there.
So just come and say goodbye, like again.
Oh no! And now guess who is here? Brian, you free? Yeah, Brian, what's up, brother?
He makes an appearance, like.
Yeah, and do you have something in the background, Adam? No, and now I think you have a double stream on. Yeah.
I don't think so.
You have to. I think. Are you on your laptop? Oh, I think Brian is on. Somebody else is hopped on.
We have a double screen. What?
Ah, Stephen. Hi, Stephen.
I thought I'd come and crash the party.
Yeah. Steven's from. He's an Arsenal fan. But
that's all right. I'll take you all on. That's not a way.
Yeah. No, Stephen, we're just about to close. I've been sitting here for about 3 hours.
Yeah, we need someone to sweep up and close the doors and push the lights off.
Mate, you want to comment me about that on about Arsenal's level? Like, come on, man. Like, what happened? What happened 2 weeks ago?
We just, as I say, we just need someone to do some janitorial work once we've gone off.
It's okay. Yeah, guys.
I have a number you can dial.
Okay. While I'm just going around doing the closing, right? More people hop on.
That's always the way, mate.
Hey, Brian.
Hey,
Brian Diggle. Yeah. How was everything, Brian?
Can you hit 1 second?
Oh,
he just got hopped off, right? No, he's at the protest at the moment. NFL protest, right? Yeah. And okay, Brad. Where can we find you while we're doing this closing part?
Well, me.
Yeah, Brad.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. Well, at Brad Hotspur is my Twitter handle. The music channel is still on hold at the moment as I try and work out how to record vocals at the same time as playing. Because I did record 5 songs, and unfortunately, you couldn't make out the vocals or any of the singing, which wasn't that good anyway. But yeah, so back to the drawing board. But it will be out at some stage, hopefully this year.
All right. Okay. And Prithvi?
Yep.
How do we find you?
You can find me on Insta at Urban Slap and in Twitter at Urban Slap 69.
Are you 68 other urban slaps? What do you guys do? Go around smacking buildings?
It's only they take a trip into the city centre and people take offence.
High five.
Yeah. And of course, your Bungalow Spurs channel. How's it going? Are you going to try to revive it or something?
I'm working on it at the moment. My partner, after the recent events, he started feeling inconvinced. So basically now I'm trying to find another partner to start it off again. I just need a brief idea. So once that is done, I think I can start it up.
All right, good. I'll be there to support you. Don't worry. Yeah.
But we got poor old Brian hanging on there. We want to.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just get Brian on. Brian, we're just doing our closing. How was the how was the protest? Was it good?
I'm going to use my words very, very carefully here.
All right.
Spurs fans are fucking pathetic. just like the fucking owners. I'm going to be going into a lot more content about this when Tottenham on Tour are going to go live later on tonight, because it's not about all the fans, but it's the Johnny Big Potatoes that give it the big un on social media and in chats going, yeah, I'm going to come, I'm going to come, I'm going to come. And then they're nowhere to be fucking seen. They give it all the big un. We plan to do stuff. I'm not talking about the people that say they're not going to come. I'm not talking about the people that don't even believe in it, or they do. I'm talking about the bastards that say, yeah, I'm coming, woohoo, I'll see you there, I can't wait to meet you, and then don't show up. I mean, I posted you a load of stuff, Eugene. We got the banners moving, and we actually took the huge banner and stood outside the stadium for ages, chanting it, so there was more traction, and there's going to be a lot more media coverage. But it's the people that say they want change, they hate this, and don't do anything to do it. When you got me, who has moved over from Toronto to make sure I'm there to represent fans, and then you got people like Rez, who was there last week, but said I can't make it this week because he's doing this and he's educating people. But there are so many people on Twitter or social media and so many streams. Yeah, I'm going to be there. Can't wait to see you. Where are you going to be? And then you're nowhere to be seen. I would be a lot more in depth and not so calm on Tottenham on Tour later, because enough is enough. Enough is enough. Like I said, I'm going to die fighting for this. But when I don't want to hear any more in the chat, I'm coming. The diehard people I know, and there's a few people that were going to be there today that personally reached out to me, were like, Brian, I couldn't make it because of family issue. And there's always family first. And it's the regular people that I know would come if their life depended on it, but other things came up. But it's the so-called people that want change, say they want change, say they're going to be there to impact change, and then go missing when the push comes to shove. And they're basically keyboard warriors for us.
Mate,
you say you're going to do stuff,
exactly
and you go
the same
back
at
up.
Arsenal. It's exactly the same at Arsenal, mate. We got exactly the same problem. We have that one protest after the ESL thing, right? And then all coming up saying we're going to protest. And the next thing is, oh, we're doing a round of applause for the players that have done fuck all, right, all season.
Yep.
We're going to give them a round of applause for a semi-final that they could even win. They could even score a goal in. They're exactly the same. Melts a lot of it.
I'm literally coming back from it now, and you should see. I'll tell you another thing. I tweeted a thing about the NFL shop a little while ago, yesterday, and a lot of people gave me a lot of abuse, but a lot of people were with me. People were saying the local businesses are going to be supported. It's all good for the local businesses. So there's a massive food court behind where we were, and me and a guy went round, and I can't use this guy's name because for various reasons, but we went round, and I'm going to be posting it on my, he can't be seen in front of the camera, and was posting. We went round all these food courts asking if they're local businesses, because obviously Chick King and all these other ones, 7 of them were from Leytonstone. 1 of them was from Reading. Not one of them were Tottenham. Not one of them was a local business. All shipped in to make more money. We had the things that are going on there. People are like, oh yeah, it's good for local business. There's nothing there for local business. Got it all on Twitter. Well, we'll post it all on Twitter. And I've had enough of these people that think and saying, oh, don't worry, all this money is going to come into help us with our transfers. So when we do this stream, Eugene, on at the end of January, and we're haggling over 2 million for another player, or we haven't signed this player because of money, I will be finding these people individually going, oh, where's that money? Where's that revenue? And usually, I wanted to make sure I came on this. Did you play the video that I showed in the morning?
Yep.
That I sent you.
Yep.
So one of the things I will do, and I'm going to say it here, I don't care who the hell is listening to me. Eugene and I have connected via social media and our platforms, like a lot of people, like Brad Matthews, Jamie, and everyone else here in this group that I speak to regularly. Rez, and it's literally, I will always come on Eugene, because Eugene from the get-go has been on the same as me. Doesn't change his tune, doesn't say, oh, I'm going to do this and that. There's people that come on, and not just our platform. I mean, we had people that supported other football teams who were going, yes, stand up for football. As Newcastle fans going, Newcastle with you, Newcastle are with you. Let's get Levy out, get anyone from the Super League. And there's other people that are just going, see, I told you nothing will happen. I told you. I'm like, no, mate, I've had enough of these people as well. Enough. they give it this, and they say on their channels that I want change, I want this, and then they mock it when we try. And it's like, so I'm just, you know what, Eugene, you never have. And I will always, like you said, Eugene, I'll always back your channel and always come on when I can. I would have tried, mate. It was like a madhouse, and that goes for you as well, Jamie, obviously, because you're part of it. This is your channel as well. And I will always back you guys. And it's just enough is enough. When we go, I think we're going to go. I think we're staying. I can't remember with Brian. I don't know if it's 7 p.m. my time or whatever. But I will let people know I will be going absolutely apoplectic on Tottenham on tour, because that's my channel, and I will be going hardcore into more detail about what's just happened today.
Do you know what's? Do you know what's funny? I sort of that's exactly sort of the same thing we have at Arsenal. Is like people want to sit there on Twitter and they'll spread it and tweet it, retweet it, because it gains more popularity, because that's the thing to tweet, and then they actually don't do anything. Here's the thing: is that I don't live nearby Arsenal anymore. I live 110 miles away from Arsenal, from where I used to live, right? But the one thing I do is that I can't physically not well enough to go down there and protest. I'm not well enough to get down there. But I always make sure if we're doing a protest, we're doing it on my channel.
Yeah, what you got to remember as well, buddy, this isn't... I've travelled, and everyone who knows me on YouTube will vouch for this. I have said since the NFL protest, I'm coming. I live in Toronto. I said I'm coming to lend my support, because I give it the big one on YouTube, and I'm listened. I'm literally coming to London solely, obviously see my family, but I coincided it with this because I could have come back earlier, but I was like, I can't afford to get back to London twice, so I'm coming. NFL protest, I'm there. And then you've got people that live around London or live wherever. And it's like, you know what? I've travelled, and I'm a man of my word. And I said I'm coming to fight. And when I say fight, I don't mean violently. I mean just before anyone else on YouTube tries to copyright or say that Eugene and Jamie are inciting violence. That's not what I meant. I mean fight, a good fight in protest. And then I've travelled from Toronto for this. And then you see people that are there. I get it if you don't want to protest. I get it if you think we're too small a numbers and you don't want to be tarnished with us, and you're easily get spotted, and the impact that could have on you and your season ticket, whatever. I get all that, but don't say you're going to come. Don't say I love what you're doing and appreciate it and doing this, and then no show.
Yep, Brian. Brian, as you are hopping on, we are just doing the closing, right? Just plug your channel and what you're going to do later.
Yeah, I'll do my hopping off because I'm about to go a bit underground. So,
all right. He is literally going underground. The signal fades just as it goes to the tunnel.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, so Tottenham on tour will be going live later. I'm here just keep your eyes peeled for Tottenham on tour. There will be a live stream later. I don't know the time. I will tweet it on my personal Twitter when we are, and on my Facebook. And then, like I said, I'll be going into a lot more detail about what's been going on. One thing I do want to say just before I go is I want to big up the police. The Tottenham police were absolutely phenomenal for us. When people, the hired security tried to stop us, the police were like, what do you think you're doing?
Signal is gone.
I think he's gone on.
They were all of them were coming over. What's this about? They say, Spurs fans saying I'm agreeing with you, but I am going to go because it is going to cut out. So I'll leave with my final words as always.
Right.
Leave me out.
Okay. I'll pity him again. So, but I know rest the feelings and all that. But okay, while we're going around, next is Soham. Soham, how do we, find you and all that before I do the closing?
Listen for the car horns.
That's what happens when you live next to one of the busiest streets around. So can't really help much. But anyway, so I'm not on Twitter for the sake of my mental health. The only place you can find me pretty much is Instagram. So at Soham Spur, so SOHAMSPUR at Soham Spur is where you can find me. Other than that, you can find me on the WhatsApp groups of Bangalore Spurs and this one as well, Spurs Asian TV. That's pretty much it. For my social media presence.
All right. And Adam?
Yep. I have my own, like I said, I'm on Twitter, like you just type in the search bar, like Adam Clark, and like as I keep saying, my profile pic on Twitter is the same as the one on YouTube, so you should be able to find me easily enough. And I'm also on all of the fan channels as well. So I'm mostly in the chat, but every so often, like, I try to make an appearance on the fan shows, like, give the support. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier was that I'm also in one of the group chats, the Irish Hospital group chat. So, like, if you want to join that, you could just send your number to Dave Harris, and you'll find me there as well.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And Stephen, thanks for coming on. And the only Arsenal fan, but he's a good guy. How do we find you? And he does Formula One watch-alongs. That's why I follow him.
You have to be quick if it's Formula One.
Unfortunately, they don't make noise like that anymore.
No.
Okay.
And how can we find you, Stephen? Just let us know your
you can
channel.
find me on SVT TV. Like I said, we do Arsenal, not just Arsenal, also football as well, but and F1 content. But that'll move on to its own channel at some point towards the end, like the end of the season. And then, yeah, that's all to raise money for Children's Liver Disease Foundation. So,
and he's got a charity thing going on for YouTube, right, at the moment.
Yeah. So basically, if every time you watch, because of our monetization, the monetization money goes to charity. So.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Guys, I'll just put you in the back room for a while I do the closing with Jamie.
Yep.
Right. If you all just want to hang on for a while, we can have a chat later.
I gotta go straight off anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna head off as well.
Yep.
All right. Take care.
See you guys.
Yeah, I got on board.
All right. Bye.
Ciao, mate.
Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah. Come on, you
Come on, you Spurs.
Click like and subscribe.
Yes.
Taking them out too quickly. They're trying to do their shout outs, and you're going blip, 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 blip.
That's the fun part. Okay, Res, just hold on at the back for a while. We'll have a bit of chat. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
hold on. All right. Guys, thanks for coming on. Jamie, good show today. Interesting. Just do a shout out to the
bit of a head swim. It was a bit high level for me.
Yeah. Just to say thanks to all the guys and support in the chats. Jens, Craig Bowler, Brian Daigle was on earlier. Stephen, Arsenal fan. Adam was on with us. Right. Who else do we have? Chris was on with us. Gugoma, big up Gugoma. Thanks for watching and supporting. The night. John Fitzpatrick. Right. Who else do we have? Jamie Pretty, Cody Mac. Sam also was on. And of course, Ankit. Thanks, Ankit. Right. And a few of you who are not in the chats, if you're still there, thanks for being on. Right.
Jens, we are about to stop.
Yes. Guys, thanks a lot for your support. It's been a very educational kind of thing for me today to learn about the finances and of course to learn more about the trust since a lot of the trust people have been vilified about it, what's been going on, but maybe we can put an olive branch out and maybe we can start working with them and maybe we can have plan out something with the trust people, right? And Jamie, any last words from you before we do
I feel for Brian and whoever did turn up for.
I'll reach out to him later, to find out who turned up to support him.
Yeah. Because as Brian said, they're not looking for any kind of trouble. They're looking to get people who are not aware or not on board to be aware of the real issues that are affecting the club and its direction. And if people are just all chat and no action, the action is just being visible, being out there and informing people. It's not something to be scared of. Yes, we can say that being out here in Asia, but if you love your club, you want the best for it. And
that's true.
That's what Brian came all the way from Toronto for, was to show his love and support and effort to try and help the club move in a direction which is best for the fans.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That still needs to happen.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Guys, thanks for staying with us. Right. Catch up with you in the midweek show and maybe we'll have more things coming up. Right. What else you got to say? Come on, you Spurs.
And
Levy out.
Levy out.
Yep. Levy out.